Thanks. We have Raimi, if you can hear me, can you do a sound check?
I can hear you.
Thank you, Raimi. Cool. We're good to go, Chair. And it is recording.
You ready? Public meeting of the Morrow County Commission to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance, please.
Just to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on our meeting is public comment, and I'll just kind of go over the rules for you. So everybody knows. A public comment is a time for the public to speak to the board. It's not a, since it's items are not on the agenda, it's not a time for a back and forth discussion, but we listen to the public at that point. The time limit is 3 minutes, so. With that, we'll start with people in the room, then we'll go on Zoom. Is there anybody in the room that would like to make a public comment? Then, one last thing. When you do start, just state your name and if you're associated with an organization, so we have that for the record. So, anybody in the room? Yes.
I am Mary Killian. Do you need my address or no? No address or just organization?
Just organization.
Okay. Well, I am here to introduce a group of people. We are formed recently called Friends of Morrow County. I have sent you each our mission and vision statement, but I'll read it for the record. It's empowering Morrow County landowners through education, stewardship, and advocacy to preserve our rights and protect our shared future. Our vision is that Morrow County will be a county where every landowner's voice is heard, where stewardship guides growth, and property rights are protected for all. Our criteria that we are looking for people to join our group are they must reside here in Morrow County. We had toyed with the idea of asking that they be landowners, but since there's a deficit in some of the types of land that people would like to purchase, we just say it's preferred. What the type of person we're looking for are positive, solution-oriented individuals and a desire to create and preserve legacy land ownership in Morrow County. So we felt the need for this group came out of a lot of us that live in the North End are living alongside perhaps industries and businesses that encroach on what we feel our rights as landowners to enjoy and use our property as intended. And we love our communities, but we are not able to vote within the boundaries of, say, Boardman, Oregon, or, because we live outside in the county. So we don't really have a voice. Even sitting here, Oregon's represented, but Boardman really doesn't have a seat at the table. And so you don't feel the impacts, perhaps, that we do on some of these issues. We have great concerns about our future of land ownership in that part of the county, just based on the fact that who would want it, in 15 to 20 years with the trajectory of the way things are going. We want it to be preserved for our kids. So we want them to come back and say, this is where I grew up and this is the land I grew up on. But at this point, they're looking around going, not sure about that. So for a few years, I sought out who was steering the ship regarding planning and land use. And I didn't find many residents were speaking up on those issues. And I toyed with this idea for a long time. I joined the planning commission. I didn't get very far there. So I I feel this is the best route. And I have found so many people who want to join. Our first meeting had 8 people come that were invited. We haven't until now opened it up to anybody or just anybody, because like I said, it's for positive solution oriented people. And sometimes people who have opinions are not focused on those. So we are trying to keep it small enough to be effective, but large enough to be effective at the same time. We want to be a voice for residents and landowners in Morrow County who feel the need to have a voice in these processes of land use. So I want to work with you. We don't want to work against anybody, but in the event that you guys have an interest in creating generational communities where people come back for years and years to come, I think it would be invaluable to work with a group like us who have the same vision. We have a value and we are so important to our communities, not just through our impact on the tax rolls, but our impacts in our communities. We all serve, we all work, and we all support our communities. And we want to be recognized as valuable and be part of the process. So that's our goal. And I hope that, well, actually, I don't know if I hope that we'll see a lot other, but I do hope that when we do, it'll be positive and that we can work towards the same goals. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I'd like to give this a chance to note for everyone, all the commissioners' contact information is on the agenda, is on the website. If anyone wants to contact us on any matter. So, thank you, Harry. Is there anybody else in the room who'd like to make a comment? Is there anybody on Zoom? Raise your hand if you'd like to. Anybody not?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment if I could, just very quickly. I'm recovering from a nasty cough, so if I sound angry, it's because my voice hurts, not because I'm actually angry. So just getting out there.
It's not your true nature.
It's not my true. No. Yes, that's right.
Next up is on the agenda is the consideration and adoption of the agenda.
Any changes, man?
Not at this time, no.
I'd move for approval of the agenda as presented.
You have a second?
And a second.
You have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, next item, next section up is our department reports and clerk's quarter report. Is Bobby online? Is she on Zoom?
I don't see
I
her.
don't see her. Well, she shows up. We can circle back to her while we're still in that section. Next up is surveyors and report. Matt? Oh.
I'm here.
Yeah, I saw you sitting right there. I don't know why.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
For the record, Matt Kenny, Morrow County Surveyor. So I'm going to start with just a quick overview of my duties, which I kind of start this every time I make a report, just as a reminder to the board. Number 1 is to keep a fair and correct record of all surveys made. Number 2 is number progressively all surveys received. 3 is provide a copy of any survey to any person or court requiring the same. And then 4, make all surveys of legal subdivisions with reference to the current United States Manual of Surveying Instructions. And these last 2 kind of go hand in hand with that. It's establish or reestablish and maintain all public land survey corners, whether that be on my own accord or at the direction of the county court. That's the basics of what I do for the county. So to date, we've had 36 survey recordings. That's 14 partition plats, 1 replat, 5 property line adjustments, and 16 standard survey filings. So about this time, 2024, we had 29. So I think we're just a tick above last year. So kind of what I expected to see, and we, like always, we'll have a few more dribble in before the end of the year. I wanted to mention the survey website. I know that planning had given a brief presentation with Stephen with GIS about the update that we're trying to make on the survey into things as far as the research and mapping tool that Steven's been working on. Just a huge thanks to him because he's been doing a lot of work on that. And it's really coming together nicely. It takes a lot of effort on his end to have to actually piece every single parcel in, because these survey PDFs that we have recorded, they're not geo-referenced in any fashion. So he has to actually go find the land and map it physically with his hand, each and every survey, and then, you know, do all the coding and everything else in the background to make it look really nice and work functionally. So I'm excited about that. Hoping to have a little bit more time in 2026 to kind of match his efforts with doing some of the actual hard corner. I need to prepare coordinates for all the corners and get those to Steven so that he can virtually update it. So if you are looking at a particular section corner, you can click on it and it'll pull up the PDF of everything that's there. It's just going to be a great tool for anybody and everybody using it. So I also manage the Public Land Corner Fund. This is defined under ORS 203. It's used for restoring government survey corners only, which is quarter corners and section corners. So that's every half mile. The U.S. government established a corner, and that's what that fund is reserved for. Currently, that fund sits at about $366,000, and it grew last year by about $25,000. And it's based solely on fees that we collect. It's a $10 fee that we collect through the record. So every time a deed or a mortgage gets recorded, we get $10, or the PLC fund does. We also continue to offer $300 per PLSS corner to private land surveyors if they elect to remonument one in the course of their survey. It's kind of an incentive to get these corners properly monumented. I will say this year we haven't had, I might have had one or two takers on that this year, so it's been a slow year for that. I may entertain bumping that up a little bit.
So just, you know, not to interrupt you, but so how does that work? If a private surveyor locates a corner, then they mark it, they monument it, then.
Correct. So say if they found evidence of an old original corner that hasn't been remonumented, then I will offer them this fee so that they can put a nice sturdy brass cap in the ground,
Yeah.
and the appropriate references, mark it with coordinates, those kinds of things, so that location's perpetuated. Otherwise, if they don't do that, they're not required by law to do that. And so if they don't, it's just continues to get lost with time, you know, so. So piggybacking on the Public Land Corner Fund and the $10 fee that we collect from records, there's a new House Bill 3175 that was passed and will go into effect January 1, that actually removes that $10 cap. This was a big effort on behalf of our OASIS folks and a lot of the surveyors, especially on the west side, who encounter massive fees in relation to their PLC fund, and they can't continue funding that program with $10 per record fee. So the legislature and House and the governor all signed off on it, and so it's due to take effect. And it's virtually up to the board. You'd have a public hearing and then decide what fee's appropriate. Right now, I don't see any change for us needed. The $10 that we currently get is okay for now. I need to do a little more research. There's some surveyors that are proposing to adjust the $10 for inflation, so that original $10 amount came as part of a 1988 legislation. Well, $10 today would be, I think, what they said was around $28. So some of them are proposing to bump that up as much as $28, which would be pretty extreme. You know, we'd go to collecting a revenue of around 20 to 25,000 per year to upwards of 70,000 to doing something like that. So I don't know if that's right for Morrow County. I just need to do a little bit more research. I'd like to discuss it with some of the other neighboring rural counties and see what they're proposing to do. So that's just a work in progress. I just wanted to make you all aware of that new legislation. Also new will be a new coordinate system. This doesn't necessarily affect the county too much. It's gonna so currently the current coordinate system, NAT 83, NAVD 88, are state plane coordinates produced by the National Geodetic Survey that provide these databases to us to use as professionals. Well, these are going to start getting phased out with the new 2022 system. And it's going to take time. And I don't believe our current legislature's addressed this, but I know it's in the works. And so I don't think it's going to change too many things. I just think it's going to be an addition to. So currently, when you're reporting coordinates, it's required to list your datum, and oftentimes that's required to be NAT 83. Well, I think they're just going to make that in addition to NAT 83, you can also report this new SPSC 2022. So something that's going on in the survey world that's kind of interesting. And as the world moves and plates shift and everything, they're constantly updating these coordinate systems, and so that's kind of the result of that. And legislation usually just kind of takes a little bit to catch up. So, other than that, I think that's pretty much everything new that I had on my end. If you have any questions for me.
You maintain monuments when they're out in the middle of a field, because we have a lot of fields, and I'm just very curious about that.
Yeah, so typically we'll bury them, try to get them down under the ground. So, at least 18 inches, sometimes more if you can, if the soil allows.
So then how do you know that it's there? I mean, what's the point of a monument that you can't see?
Right. And so we have, we can set what we call witness corners. So typically you'll run to a point, if it's available, that's maybe not cultivated, to the edge of the field or to an existing fence line or road, and set some reference corners that you would report that on your map or your record of corner form. And then you can get back to that corner spot. Also, when situations like that arise, I really recommend coordinates. Coordinates are huge, because if it gets wiped out, all the references get wiped out. There's really no way to trace it back in. But if you have those coordinates, you can always put it back.
Okay.
Without the physical monumentation. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah, there's some situations where it's just near impossible out in those wheat fields to get anything permanent to stay.
Are you saying your disc has maybe brought up something that time or two? I haven't seen anything that looked like a monument. I have kept it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I was just curious.
You probably wouldn't even notice it. Just wipe it away.
So
I'll tell you, when I was doing real estate, tromping around out in the woods, way out nowhere, and I found one of those, I was so happy.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Because you can show the buyer and so this is real. It's a real deal. It's
Yep.
not a pile of rocks or an old oak tree.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Any other question?
No.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen.
thank you.
Well, yeah, next up is Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
A somewhat abbreviated report for November. In roads, as I've been reporting last couple of months, we've been out blading roads, and we will continue to do that as long as the weather provides good blading conditions, mainly not frozen. So, well, we'll continue to do that. We do have all our plowing equipment is set up and ready to go. We did do some plowing last Sunday morning, a little bit. But yeah, we're up and running for winter operations. Wanted to report that under the resolution R 2025-12, we did have a contractor remove the cottonwood trees on Miller Road between Coonsey and the canal. The contractor felled the trees, cut them up into chunks. They chipped up the branches and put them on that adjacent property there, as agreed to by the landowner that made the request to remove the trees. And then the road crew hauled them off. So they're sitting in a pit, and someday when they're dry, we'll burn them up. I did talk to the Parks Department, see if they were interested in milling any of it. And they said that it's just not that good of wood to mill. So we just piled it up and we're going to burn that off. But the project went good and it's done. So happy to get that off our plate. Also wanted to report that we did reclaim a very short quarter-mile section of McGilligan Lane. It's been failing for a long time. It's been kind of on and off my radar for years, and being kind of redirected by some of the locals out there to, can we get that done? We did. We got all the asphalt pulverized. It's back into the base. And then we put a bladed and a top course of road rock. It's all shaped and compacted. Any questions on roads?
I had a question on road committees. When do you guys meet?
We historically like to meet once in the winter and once in the spring. We had scheduled for December actually this week, and I did cancel it, just reschedule it just due to workload. So sometime before the first of the year, we'll get together. I usually try to do it around November. But yes, I need to reschedule that.
Okay.
Get that done before the end of the year. Other than that, the weeds, our roadside weeds, I know Corey's here to report on his work. But as far as roadside, we have had a contractor out mowing and brushing, and we've had some trouble spots around the county. I think they're still out working. Caught up to them in Boardman, I think it was last week. So that's as far as that goes. That's the end of my report. If there's any other questions.
Well, that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up would be our weekly report. Corey.
Oh. Future sex. Yes, Corey Sweeney, Morrow County lead programmer and program manager. And I have before you my report. I will touch on some of the highlights. You can ask any questions on any of the itemized activities for the past 3 months if you'd like, but I'll just touch on some things here that have been taking place. So then continuing the meetings with Haley and Aldrich, Odo's consulting firm, Oregon Department of Energy. They updated me. Dwayne Kilsdonk retired. Their compliance officer, the one compliance officer they had, and they replaced him with 3 compliance officers. And they have yet to be out here to Morrow County yet, but Haley and Aldrich is still continuing. And we went on a tour, a site tour and an inspection with a new developer in the county, with a new project in the county. And we had one weed issue, and it was kind of a bigger one that myself and Umatilla County had been working on. And there was a violation in that, and it went before FSEC, and they asked what was going to happen, and the answer with Haley and Aldrich is yes, it'll probably go against our site certificate, so that'll be one on that weed issue, and it'll just be it should be corrected and moving forward. And
So what does that mean when you say it goes against their site certificate from FSEC?
so it was this particular instance was a weed washing station to clean their equipment before it comes in the county. And so we have fresh equipment and not spreading any noxious weeds coming in. And that was in place, but not functional. They couldn't demonstrate it. They checked the box, but it wasn't being correctly implemented. So that was in the site certificate or part of the noxious weed draft plan. And so since it was a instance where they didn't comply, they can then in turn put that against their site certificate. And that would go on to any future development that they may have anywhere in the nation that this incident happened. And so that kind of keeps them in check. And so they try to do the right thing.
Public report card sort of thing?
Kind of like a public report card. Yeah.
I mean, is there a financial impact or is it just?
No.
You did bad.
You did bad. Yeah. This
But
is,
you did bad and everybody else gets to see that. Maybe you don't get.
yeah, that's,
Okay.
that is it. That's kind of how, the Oregon set it up, or maybe it was the nation. I'm not sure, but it goes against future applications on site certificates that, in that instance. So it,
Just seems like there's no consequences. No.
Yeah, the trouble is that the damage could be done, like it's already done, yeah, so it could. That could be an issue, but we're gonna keep an eye on it. But yeah, that's what that means. So. We did do that inspection and was hoping that the Odo, one of the three would be out, or at least be on these monthly meetings still. Haven't seen them yet in a meeting or met any of the three. But yeah, I'll continue. There's some other things I need to work on with them. But yeah, moving on. Governor Kotek did sign an executive order 25-29, which you may have heard of last month, streamlining the permitting of the energy projects. And that set in place mandates for rapid implementation of such projects with efficiency, grid redundancy, and resilience, and also for their 2028 mandate of renewable energy dates. So it's being streamlined. I don't know what that means. As of last week, Odo had not seen the site certificate, or the executive order itself. So not sure what that means. One of the issues I see, I think it's good if always good to streamline paperwork and whatnot. The criticism that I've received is with Odo is why are they pushing all this on Morrow County, or why is Morrow County having so much energy coming in and all these projects are going through, and why does Odo let this? And I tell him my defense is the bar is so high they have to comply with so many things in place on their site certificate that it's just for every one that's passed, there's 50 that aren't. So it's they're all legit. They all go in. They all they're good programs in place, and it works out really well. And everything's been mitigated the last few years, and it's a fine process moving forward. The problem is that I see with my interaction and feedback is moving farther east in the county with this energy development out of agriculture we're seeing a few issues, and that bar now that was set so high, there has to be a realistic expectation of what to expect going further east in the county with these. And I think it's unfair to the county and to the developers to be held to that standard from Odo if they're permitting these to go through in these areas. So that's one thing I'd like to work on Odo with, is to amend that site certificate a little bit and to have realistic expectations of what it's going to look like after these developments go through. And so we don't have any drama or negative feedback that people were not made aware of, that we can all be on board and saying this is what we're going to be looking at moving forward. So I'll probably have an update with you after our next few meetings that we're going to have. We have one tomorrow, and anyway, I'll keep you posted on that. So on a really positive note, I've been working with the Oregon Department of Agriculture and getting biocontrols for Morrow County. And the state has allowed the release of biocontrols for Russian thistle. So the biocontrols is bugs, for those of you who don't know, but it's bugs, usually weevils. But in this case, it's biocontrol of mites that will eat up the plants and take care of the Russian thistle without any herbicide. and they are very effective. It works very well. It's very hard to implement these insects out of country. California did all the processing paperwork, got it done. It took a couple of years. We're now getting them from California. They're in Salem. They're in a greenhouse, and Morrow County will be the first to release these sites in Oregon for biocontrols on Russian thistle. So
And we're sure they're not gonna eat anything else.
we're sure that is part of the process.
I mean, that sounds incredible.
That is part of the process. It does almost sound too good to be
It sounds
true.
too good to be true.
But it does work very well, and it has worked with the knapweed.
Yeah.
A lot with the knapweed. It's taken out whole fields of knapweeds. The trouble is the bugs die off, and then it comes back 3 years later, and it's a vicious cycle. You got to keep.
Oh, we have enough Russian thistle.
No, not to speak of. So that's kind of the highlights, I guess. Is there any questions or anything?
Well, you also started work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to get an exemption to fly drones.
Yes.
So what is that for weed spraying?
That is, yes. Yeah, that is. So, yeah, they're very stringent on, well, it's a no-fly zone on all US facilities, but, yeah, this one, we have the goats on the dam, which most people know about. There is trees that are growing inside the dam, and it's a real concern that those roots will compromise that dam, and they are getting big, and, it's too dangerous for mechanical
Removal.
removal on top of that. So we're gonna get drones on there, spray it. Those drones have 100% jet wash and foliar coverage on those brushy plants, and it really does a good job killing them dead. It's just quite a bit of paperwork at the federal facility, as you can imagine. Yeah.
Search.
Yeah. So anything else? Okay. Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, and that's still some text for the report.
There should be a PowerPoint.
So we have that down in business. Do you want to do that as your department?
No, I have two things
Oh,
going on.
okay.
I
Let me
have
jump on
my-
that one.
Yeah.
Excuse me for a second.
How are you holding it, Mike? You're making it through?
Guess so. I'm here.
94% of the checks are in, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I emailed it to,
Yes, let me join that meeting real quick and then I can jump.
if not, we can, if someone else wants to switch me spots.
No, I can jump on real quick.
Dave, your house on the floodway, if I hear the trees compromising the dam, I'll say that.
Hopefully,
Not very.
maybe if you're upstairs. There we go.
Well, they got someplace to go.
Are you gonna be my clicker?
Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. This will be my annual kind of property tax report, similar format as I've done for the last several years, just updated numbers. So let's go ahead. Our taxable value for this year was just shy of 4.2 billion. Market value just shy of 15 billion. And I always mention the large exemptions, SIP and enterprise zone, 2.5 billion worth of SIP exemptions and over 6 billion worth of enterprise zone exemptions. And I'll get into more detail. Total certified property taxes that were for this year was over 72 million. Morrow's County's portion of that is 17 million. Now, keep in mind that these are before discount, so it'll be a little less than that. 3% of 90%, let's say. Um, Bulk of the collections came in the first 2 weeks of November. Every year is a little different. Sometimes we collect really early, and sometimes it all comes at once at the end. This year was kind of in the middle. As of November 16th, we had about 4 million. Actually, that's the wrong date. As of about November 26th, we had about 4 million of current taxes left to collect, and then 1.2 million of all prior year taxes. So just a little over 5. We checked again yesterday, and we've collected another million since last week. So, collections are still rolling in. Comparing current year to last year, we're up about 250 million. This was due to Amazon's new bombing range road site that started this SIP exemption that gave us 100 million in taxable value. We've also gained a lot of value for Pacific Core from the B2H power line, even though nothing's built yet. But about $60 million in value, so that's nice. And then just all the other new value and the 3% increase of existing property. So, remember last year we went down a little bit because of some big depreciation on Amazon's legacy sites, but we were able to overcome that this year with new value. Market. Yeah.
So since, I'm seeing towers going up and cross bombing range, I'm seeing their stuff. So next year, I imagine most of it will be constructed. Any idea on what the impact will be?
I have no idea because I was not expecting any new value this year because nothing was built. And, we've always had a little bit of Pacific Core value in the county because they have some territory in the northwest corner of the county. And, I can't remember, it was $7 or $8 million, very minimal. Then all of a sudden we got 60, and they're in tax code areas that are like, the southeast part of the county. And so I had to call up the Department of Revenue, and then they forwarded me on to Pacific Core. And they're like, yeah, B2H. And I'm like, well, there's nothing built yet. Yeah, but we have leases and we have, the ability to build this. So
is it potentially not gonna go up even after things get built? Did they?
oh, it will.
It will?
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm assuming it will.
All right.
Hope it is.
Yeah.
So. Market value from 10 billion up to 14 billion. This is pretty much due to, to the Amazon SIP site, and then they have another enterprise zone site, and then, all the other new construction that we had. So, our RMV continues to grow much greater than our taxable value. Our certified tax again was 72 million, up from 57 last year. 11 million, almost $12 million of that was due to a new school bond that was levied by Morrow County School District. And then the rest of it is just growth. So the more value, the more taxes we collect. So property taxes generally, and I'm specifically talking about rates here. I think rates went up in all areas of the county. The new Morrow County School District bond came with a new rate of $2.90 per thousand. All of the other existing bonds throughout the county, all the fire district bonds, Boardman and Hepner, the city bonds for most of the towns, and the Boardman Park and Rec District bond and the BMCC bond. Those all went down because values went up. But the increase or the new Morrow County School Bond, and then I own school bond. They levied a little more too. Those all went up. So pretty much taxes went up throughout the county. And this year, because of the new Morrow County School Bond, I've created an insert to put in with people's tax statements to kind of explain things. I got some templates from some other counties that have been doing that for years, and that seemed very successful because I was really concerned that we were going to be overwhelmed with, you know, people questioning their, you know, 15 to 30% increase in their tax bill. And when we did have a number of calls, but not to the extent I thought there was going to be. So I'm going to continue that insert. That seemed a very positive thing. So I'm not aware that we have any local appeals yet. I'm sure we have some Department of Revenue appeals, but I'm not sure of any local ones yet. So got 28 days to go. I want to touch on Oregon Department of Forestry Fire Patrol. I haven't really mentioned this before, but after last year's, two catastrophic fires we had, and the amount of private grazing land and private timber that was lost, I thought I would mention it. So, historically, Morrow County has been in two different regions of the Oregon Department of Forestry: Central Oregon region out of Prineville and John Day, and the Northeast Oregon region out of Pendleton. Those regions have two, they have very different uh, fire patrol rates as far as their timber and grazing. The minimum is the same if you have small acreage, or in the improvement surcharge is the same, but their per acre is quite a bit different. So, from $2.40 to $2.47 for Northeast, to $3.12 for timber in Central, and then 74 cents to 30 cents. It's quite a difference. And when some people, large private timber or timberland owners, their fire patrol surcharge is 10 times as much as their property taxes. Uh, by state law, I levy the fire patrol surcharge for the Department of Forestry, but we have no control over it. They certify the rates to me. I input those rates into our system, and our system calculates the amount. And so whenever we get calls, and we get calls every year from landowners that own forest land that, why is it so high? I'm like, you're going to have to talk to ODF. I was informed that this year all of Morrow County is going to be switched from the central region to the northeast region. That's going to bring some relief, hopefully with the rates, and hopefully I won't have as many calls next year. So just wanted to bring that up. I've never really mentioned that before, but like I said, last year after the catastrophic fires, just about every landowner that lost some timber, some grazing land, called and bent my ear when they got their tax statements last year and again this year. So,
Clear, if you don't mind if I ask a question.
sure.
Is that a sure thing, or is there anything the county could do to lobby to help our property owners on that?
Well, of course there is, and there's been discussions with not just for Morrow County, but statewide about fire patrol and the amount of fees that property owners pay, and the lack of response they get from ODF for fighting fires. The Lone Rock fire last year, that was basically controlled by landowners, and Mother Nature finally helped it burn itself out once landowners got fire lines going, and ODF wasn't really present there because they were busy in other places. And so I think keeping that conversation going, especially with AOC, and trying to find a way to fund wildfire, um, suppression, and not necessarily all on the landowners when it's not their fault. So we can move on.
I get too.
Yeah.
in your presentation.
And this is his current map. The green part is under ODF protection. So the part to the east is the the northeast region. Everything else to the west was central. We're going to be all in the northeast. So now we'll move to the SIP exemptions. Caithness or Shepherd's Flat, excuse me. They made a total payment of 1.4 million and some change, consisting of $500,000 community service fee and $939,000 additional payment. The county participates and receives about 123,000 of the community service fee. The exempt tax amount this year was 5.8 million. Excuse me, exempt tax amount, yes, was 5.8 million. The exempt value was 350 million. And in the agreement, there's a payment of 21,500 to the Community Renewable Energy Association. This project has 1 year remaining, so 2026 will be its last year of exemption. Then in 2027, it will become taxable. That should help Ione school districts bond rate. That should give them a pretty good value. And Caithness was the original owner of this project, and they sold it to Brookfield Renewables back in 2020. They did a repower in 21 and 22, I think, and it significantly increased the project's value. I think it made the repower they did, they gained quite a bit of efficiency, and it produces more power now.
I got a question before we move on there.
Sure.
And I think you've told us this before, is did you go through the process of how they establish taxable value once it comes out of this?
Well, the Oregon Department of Revenue values they call it centrally assessed property, values the company as a whole, and then allocates a component of value back to their property in the county. So if the company's doing really well and they're making lots of power and selling lots of power, and they have a good purchase power agreement, and then it could be very favorable. Sometimes it's not always. We've seen both with Willow Creek Energy and the Echo Wind project when they come out of their exemption. The last couple of years before they came out of their exemption, and then when they did, their values dropped significantly. So I don't know what's going to happen with this one. I'm just hopeful that it's going to stay around the $200 million. We share this with a small portion of this with, it's a larger portion of this with Gillum County as well.
With the business component, that you just talked about, it's more than just asset.
Yes.
Is that applicable to all SIP like data centers?
No, it's just centrally assessed properties, not industrial properties. So centrally assessed or utility properties or, power generation, railroads, phone companies, DirecTV, airlines. We don't have any airlines, barge lines, cell phone carriers, television stations. There's probably some I'm missing, but those are centrally assessed properties.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead. The Cardi Cogen plant, the payment was just under 2.5 million, consisting of $500,000 community service fee, an additional amount of 1.9 million. The county does not share in this community service fee. The exempt tax amount was 5.3 million and their exempt value was 347 million. Interestingly enough, it wasn't that long ago, this was a $600 million property. It's really lost a lot of value. And I'm not sure why. I haven't really asked that question of the department. I would be more, I'd have more incentive to ask if it was taxable. Uh, you know, so, but I probably will ask what's going on. Because that plant, 500 megawatt plant, that's pretty much on demand when it's needed. So I think it'd be pretty valuable.
So is it gonna be like with the Shepherd's Flat where they look at the value of the company as a whole?
Yes, this is the same type. PG is the same way.
So
PG's not doing well. Who did he?
Well, it could be, I don't know. PG also has the Coyote plant and runs the Avista plant that's right next to Coyote plant in the port. Um, they also have the Wheat Ridge one, 100 megawatts of the Wheat Ridge project. So,
So just to make it clear, is it just the business component of the site, like the Cardi?
no, it's
The
the
whole company?
it's the whole company. It could be an international
So
company.
we bear the brunt of them messing up other places.
Sometimes it's very favorable when
So if they're doing.
when CenturyLink bought out all of our local phone companies back 15 years ago, value went up 100 times.
Yeah.
So, there's
Look both ways.
yep, winners and losers.
So when you say the county does not share in the community service fee, does that mean we don't get any of it or nobody else gets any of it?
No, the county, Morrow County as a district did not elect to receive a component of the $500,000 community service fee.
Okay,
On this SIP agreement. That's what I mean by that.
thank you. I just want to.
Yep.
Which way it went.
Yeah, we do get the $1.9 million.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Go ahead, man. This has a structured payment schedule. So you can see where we're at. And we've got about 6 or 7 years left on this. Okay, we'll move on to Wheat Ridge. Wheat Ridge is broken up into 4 components now. And I'll start with the PGE portion. They purchased 100 megawatts of the original wind development, and their SIP payment, 722,000 total. $90,000 of it is a community service fee, and then an additional amount of 632,000. The county does not share in the community service fee for this agreement. The exempt tax amount for this portion was 1.9 million, and the exempt value is 120 million. Now we'll move on to the next era portion of the original wind development. Their payment, 1.4 million, 180,000 of that's community service fee. 1.2 million is an additional amount. Again, the county does not share in the community service fee. $4.4 million in exempt taxes and just shy of 250 million in exempt value. Now we have their solar portion. Their payment, after I created this is not their payment amount. NextEra brought it to my attention that there's some conflicting language in their agreement and how I calculated their additional amount. And I agreed with them for this year. So the payment's about $90,000 shorter. And we just went through that yesterday or Monday, is when NextEra reached out to me. So they have $50,000 community service fee and it's about a $340,000 additional amount. Their exempt tax amount, just over 700,000, and the exempt values, 45 million.
So isn't that additional amount set in the agreement or is there?
It is, but how it's calculated is different. There's the conflicting language in that start of that paragraph. It says we'll do a calculation. Then in the bottom of that paragraph, it says we won't. And historically I've been using we won't, and we'll charge them the full amount. But my interpretation is it says since we will first, that trumps we won't. And so that's where we're at. If the commission has a different opinion on that, definitely we can discuss that with Nexter. Now we have Wheat Ridge East, where I did not think that we were going to get value for that this year, but we did a significant amount of value. Their SIP payment was 1.4 million, community service fee of 180,000. So these different components, the 180 for here, the 90, whatever, all of these components add up to 500,000. I can't remember exactly what they all are. So $180,000 community service fee, 1.2 million of an additional amount. Again, the county does not share in the community service fee. Just short of 5.5 million in exempt taxes, and exempt values 340 million. This is 200 megawatts of wind. And I can't remember. I did not do totals, and I apologize. I meant to. I must have forgot. We will have totals at the end of the presentation, though. All right. So Orchard Wind Project is a small. I think it's a 48 or 50 megawatt project. Kind of on the right by where the Echo project was. I have a payment of 151,000. 140 of that is community service fee. The county does not share in the community service fee. This agreement has a predetermined schedule of payments. So this year was $11,600. Their exempt tax amount was 561,000, an exempt value of about 35 million. Now our newest SIP property, the Amazon Bombing Range Road site, their payment of this year, 5.7 million, which includes a community service fee of 2.5 million, an additional amount of 850,000, and then a bond payment to the Morrow County School District of 2.3 million. The county does participate in the community service fee. They receive $500,000 of the 2.5 million. The balance of the the remaining 2 million gets distributed among the affected districts that serve this property. The exempt tax amount for this site was 16 million, and the exempt value was $1 billion. And this is the first year. So just a summary of all of the SIP properties, total of 7.3 million in additional payments, 4.1 million in community service fee, bond payment this year of 2.3 million. We exempted about 40 million in taxes, and it was $2.5 million, 2.5 billion in exempt value. Now I think we move on to enterprise zone. Yeah.
Sandy.
Oh,
Could go back to the Wheat Ridge slide?
yeah, sure.
Wheat Ridge?
Yeah.
Which one? There were a lot of Wheat Ridge.
Yeah, there's 4. This one?
Where you mentioned the slight reduction
Oh, back one more.
in the additional.
Solar.
Oh, you were only talking about the solar.
Only this one. The rest of them were fine. It's just the solar. So instead of 482, instead of $432,500 coming into the county, it's 340-ish.
Okay,
So we're losing 90 grand.
but the rest of the Wheat Ridge project.
The rest of the Wheat Ridge, yes.
Got my heart right up there for a second. Thank
No.
you.
No. Oh, okay, we can move on to Lamb Weston, I believe. All right. Lamb Weston, their east processing plant made a payment to the CREZ 2 board of 1.7 million. 766,000 of that payment goes to the bonds. 950,000 goes to the CREZ board. Their exempt tax amount was 2.5 million. Their exempt value is 130 million, except it's not. We had a roll correction from the Department of Revenue. I think we got it on November 16th. That reduced this value on this property by about $40 million.
Wow.
It also reduced value on some of their other sites significantly as well. And the consent calendar, you had a refund for about $600,000 because of that roll correction.
They never roll correct it to be higher, do they?
Not very often, no. Unfortunately, no. This is a 15-year exemption that has 3 years remaining and had a predetermined payment schedule of 950,000, and with a opportunity for $100,000 buyback or direct spend to reduce that payment to the CREZ board, but it has an incentive to donate to local needs.
Before we're talking about, because it's the first buyback, I think. Do you track the buyback separately to see how much?
Yes, I do. Because there's no real language in any of the easy agreements of the time frame of when they can do a buyback, by default I just give them a calendar year. So I give them until December 31st to do their direct spending, and then they have to provide that information of who they gave the money to, when, and how much. And then I determine if it's an allowable expense or not. I've kind of gotten some grief in the past. I think it was Tillamook donated some money to the Hermiston Little League, which is not in Morrow County. They also donated money to the Boardman Little League, and I thought, well, if Hermiston didn't have the Little League, Boardman wouldn't have anyone to play. So I allowed it, but I got some grief from some former commissioners.
Do you don't have just a rough estimate or off the top of your head what the percentage of buybacks get used, say?
Right now, it's been 100%. For a long time, Amazon didn't, but now Amazon absolutely is on most of their sites. Yeah. Morrow County Gringers always did. Vermont Canyon Farms always did. Tillamook did when they were, and Lamb Weston. Always did. Lamb Weston usually has the biggest list of people that they donate to. So they really spread the wealth across the county. I think they sponsor admission at the fair, or have in the past, and done some. So go ahead. Morrow County Grain Growers, their exemption's pretty much over. They just had a little bit of value left that was exempt this year, and so they're pretty much done. They didn't have to pay any payments this year. They were done last year, but they just had a little bit of value left that was exempt, and I thought I'd note that. Go ahead. Same thing with the 3 Mile project. They had a little bit of value left over for exemption this year. Not really anything to get too concerned about. So go ahead and move on. I think we're moving on to Amazon now. So these are now the three, these three sites, which I used to call Lewis and Clark to Olson Road and Gar Swanson. I still kind of do, but I'm kind of migrating over to their PDX numbers. Um, these are all very similar agreements, except for I think it's the Gar Swanson has some additional payments in it. They were all kind of right in a row, and go ahead and move on, and I'll explain all three of these agreements have a payment schedule of $1 million per building or data center, but with a minimum payment of $2 million. There is also additional payment calculation of $25 million of value times the tax rate for that year. That gets indexed every year at 3%. And the Gar Swanson site also has student success fee and public impact fee of $50,000 each that gets indexed up 3% a year. And I think I have some schedules coming up next. Yeah. Lewis and Clark, their fee was 5,120,000. Now I know that isn't in increments of 1 million. That's because there's an addendum to this agreement for they have what they call ski lodge data center sites. They're much smaller and they pay $60,000 per building for those ski lodge sites. And there's two of them at the Lewis and Clark 2 site. They also paid an additional amount, that calculation of the 25 million that's indexed up times the current year tax rate, just shy of 500,000. At the Olson Road site, they paid 4 million. Their additional amount, 632,000. The reason that's higher than the other two is because that project's located inside the city limits of Boardman. And so it has a higher tax rate. Gar Swanson site, they paid 4,060,000. The 60 that have one ski lodge data center, small data center site there, an additional amount of 443,000, and then the student success and public impact fees of 54,000 and change each. And these all go to the CRES 2 board. And then they have a new site, PDX 170, that will makes payment to the CRES 3 board. It has basically a similar payment structure as the original Gar Swanson site, but this agreement includes bonding language. So they had one building built, so they have the $2 million fee, their additional amount of 405,000, the student success and public safety impact fees, and then the bond payment. So I'm picking on Amazon here, totals for all of them. Their exempt tax amount, 107 million. Their exempt values, 6.2 billion. And then their total EZ payments, 18 million. Now, these does not include that SIP site on the bonding range. I'll have some more totals here in a minute. There's two kinds of exemptions, standard 3 to 5 years or long-term rural. It's kind of a disclaimer I've put in this for several years now. If you look at a company's exemption percentage annually, it first is going to seem really big. That's you're getting a 90% exemption in year one because their value is really high, it's brand new, and their payments down low. Here so it seems big. In year 15, their value is really low because of depreciation, and their payment might be big, so they might only be getting a 10%, or maybe even not even an exemption. It might have been cheaper for them at that time, for that year to be taxable. So, my thought is that you look at the whole exemption over time and do that analysis. So, go ahead. So our totals for all of the enterprise zone exemptions, uh, and I said to the CREZ 2 board, but that's going to be to both boards, $18 million to the CREZ board. And remember, this is before any buybacks. $1.5 million in bond payments, $110 million worth of exempt taxes, and 6.3 billion in exempt value. So now I'm totaling up both enterprise zone and SIP. Total amount of payments, 33 million, almost 34. Exempt tax amount, 150 million. Now remember, we only levied 72 million. So we're exempting twice as much, more than twice as much as we're levying. And then the total exempt value, 8 billion, almost 9 billion.
So how does that compare to other counties?
There is no comparison to other county. There is no other county, I don't believe, in the world that
That has this
that
level?
has this scenario.
Tim?
Umatilla County will have quite a bit of.
Yeah, but they have quite a bit more value.
Yeah,
They,
Like the delta between the.
the
Yes.
ratio between.
Umatilla County levies more than they exempt.
Whereas we exempt a lot more than what we levy.
Yeah, more than double. Yep. Go ahead. Here are our top taxpayers. Again, for several years, Amazon has been the winner.
4 times number 2.
I know.
And then you add in the 18 million in payment in lieu of taxes, get you to 41 million bucks.
Yeah. Go ahead. Snapshot, 10-year snapshot of our value. 2016, our market value was 4 billion. Now it's 14, almost 15. So that's more than doubled, more than tripled. Our AV, not quite doubled. And our certified tax has a little more than doubled. Yeah. Certified tax, I mean, that's adding new bonds and stuff on there, 14% of our levy, certified levy tax was the new school bond. So, yeah, go ahead, Matt. These are just some graphs from the chart for before, our market value continues to grow, and it will continue to grow. Go ahead. Our assessed value, we had a little dip last year, but now we're, back on the increase, which is good. And then our certified tax, yeah. And we're getting close. The increase in real market value is mostly from, new industrial and utility property value. The reason it's not proportional to the market value is because of the enterprise zone and SIP exemptions. We are seeing a lot of other growth out the county. There's a lot of new commercial and residential growth in the north end of the county, and that's exciting. Keeping my appraisal staff busy. We have value is going to continue to grow. Excuse me if I'm stumbling. We got some large exemptions coming, expiring here in the next 4 or 5 years with Caithness, with PG's Cardi plant, and with Lamb Weston. That'll just help with the taxable value things. I still see, Amazon is still developing property. We're still seeing, like Matt, the county surveyor gave earlier, there's still a number of partitions and subdivisions being filed. There's still a lot of building permits being requested for, there's a lot of stuff going on. So it's exciting.
How well do you feel that you're able to keep up with assessing? I mean, that's something that at AOC, a lot of counties talk about being an issue. How are we looking?
Well, we're looking pretty good. Not all the state is. Morrow County has supported my department. I think they realized, the commissioners have supported. They realize, if you affect my budget, you affect your own budget, right? And affect budgets of all the other districts, cities, schools. Um, I we're doing pretty good. What the future holds, I don't know. Depending on things, I've got pretty good staff now. Since I've taken over as assessor, it's been 12 or 13 years now. I've added two staff members, appraisal staff members. So, they're out in the field today, knocking on doors and doing that. So, we're keeping up. Most of the large value things are Department of Revenue appraised. So I don't have that on my shoulder, but these exemptions do take a lot more work than it would, like enterprise zone exemptions especially. SIPs, there's a lot more work up front, but once a company starts that SIP exemption, it's all I do is bill them at the end of the month or at the end of the year, excuse me. Enterprise zone, I used to say it takes 10 times as much work, but I'm going to increase that to 20 times as much work to handle an enterprise zone account than it does to tax it normally because of the reporting we have to do to the Department of Revenue and Business Oregon, the GASB 77 information that is required by the districts, but I actually calculate it for them. And it's just a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that at least for now you're holding.
Yes.
That's different than everywhere else.
Compared to other counties, Morrow County has a generous frozen rate, $4.10. The Lane counties of the world is $1.20. The Curry counties is 88 cents.
Yeah.
We're fortunate and we have a good program here and we get our work done.
I
So
mean, we have a growing assessed value. Some of those counties, like you just mentioned, their assessed value is declining or staying.
could be, yep. There's those issues too. The Curry and Jackson and Coos in Douglas counties, have really low tax rates and not a lot of industry and not a lot of value.
Yeah, but isn't that ONC gonna hit them? Not they changing that? Gonna hit them pretty hard.
Yeah, that's another thing too. They're, forest counties have a lot of federal land on them, and you know, I don't know what's going to go on with the secure rural school stuff.
Anyway, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's well, it could be going away. Yeah, so I the Morrow County is very fortunate. We've had a lot of good development, a lot of large development, and we've had a lot of just good things happen. We're very fortunate. I still, like I said, values continue to increase. Still residential, commercial development as well as industrial. I think that we're going to keep riding this wave for hopefully another several years. I hope until 7 or 8 years when I think I'm going to retire. I don't.
You see it down here like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah, I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to go through that, but I want to be able to. I'm glad that I've been able to be a part of all this growth because it's exciting. It's definitely made me a better assessor and tax collector because I've had to work at it. To keep up with the times and keep up with the changes and know my stuff. So Anyway, I think, oh, and this chart looked really nice at one time. And then when I emailed it to Valerie, it got jumbled up again, and I apologize.
Well,
You could go and
support a lot.
you can, if you want to see it, you can go to the website and it's on the website. But this is just kind of shows where the property taxes go. Bulk of it goes to schools, 25% goes to county. The cities, I can't tell which one's the cities. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right there. So almost 8% goes to the cities and then everywhere else. So I apologize for this. I had it all pretty and looking nice, and then it
Well, it looks like a lot is being done, so that's.
yeah. No, go ahead. All right. Any questions?
I have a statement. I think I tell you this every year. I'm so glad you do this. I have sent this out to more people. And it's good county transparency. And I understand you go to groups. So I think this is,
Yeah, I'm giving it to the port next week. And I'm sure I'll be getting requests from several of the smaller districts to get it.
I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, next up would be our human resources board report. Chelsea.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
How's everyone today? Wonderful. Excited to be here. This is my first one with you guys, so yeah, excited to share and go through the slides, which I believe Matt is probably bringing up. I do have notes pulled up here, so I'll just be looking at you guys, but also referring to notes. So I'm gonna make sure that I don't miss anything.
Okay.
I got to see you and you at AOC, but I saw you, but I didn't get to visit with you. Or no, we sat right next to each other and walked to dinner together. That's right.
Yeah.
That felt like out of AOC. It felt
Right.
like normal every day. Yeah. That's right. Thank you, Matt. Awesome. All right. So since I only recently joined the county back at the beginning of September, it felt appropriate for this first report that I'm sharing with all three of you to be more of a year in review. So today I'll share 4 areas. This year's new hires, highlights of the ongoing work that HR is kind of always handling for the county, current work that we're doing with other departments in the county, and finally, what I plan to include in quarterly reports beginning in the new year, which is upon us. So I'm excited to share the news that you may have already heard that we got Angel Stinger brought on board on Monday for our accounting technician role. So a really important one to help with Kevin's team with finance and accounting. And as for the finance manager role, we started the offer process for a really strong candidate that we hope to, because we're so near the end of the year, hope to welcome in the new year, just realistically. And I would be remiss if we didn't put all of our 2025 new hires names up in lights. We welcomed our very own Commissioner Peterson as the first new hire of the year. And then we've had, as you can see, steady additions across the entire county throughout the
How's
year.
he working out?
What's the most diplomatic answer I can get here?
Just a test.
You don't have to answer, that's okay.
Oh, goodness, I love it.
Throw him a curveball. Test.
Yes, so far so good. And then I have, in my first few months here, had a chance to meet with quite a few folks. I have made it a mission to meet with every elected official and then also with every director. And I think that Bobby is the only one that I haven't officially sat down with, though I've certainly spent a bit of time with her here and there. And then same thing with the department heads, directors. And then I'll be kind of expanding out into the other people team leaders. So if there's a manager that supervises somebody, I'll be meeting with them in the first part of next year. But I also, it's important to me because we do have a small enough employee base to just meet everyone and to get to know them just a little bit. So that way they always feel like they have a line into HR. All right. So when we were at AOC, I kept hearing about services that we provide to our citizens. And I felt like that's a really great way to think about what we offer to the employees of the county and the managers and the leadership team. And this is kind of how I'm thinking about it as I'm making the transition from private sector to public sector is from a services standpoint. So, and as I've been getting on board, I'm just really impressed with the work that's been done before me and honestly the volume and complexity of what it takes to run not just the county as you guys heard from Mike a few minutes ago that we're blessed, but it's also one of a kind. Morrow County is, and I think that counties in general, as we know, are just very complex. So I want to kind of highlight the work that HR does for the organization, the managers, and the employees. Let me see here. On the payroll side, I think that's, kind of one of those obvious things, we're all, getting our paychecks ongoing throughout the year, but to think about, we're doing that 26 times throughout the year. And then we're looking at every single time card each and every time. And making sure that folks are getting paid correctly, because again, the complexity of our employees is real, of our employee base, excuse me. And then we also, we just have a diverse set of rules that apply to us, just because of the 3 bargaining agreements that we have that apply. So definitely some really interesting, from my perspective, it's really interesting complexity. And then, just even speaking continue to the volume that we see with payroll, providing a tax form to every single employee that we employ throughout the year. So that's throughout the year, it's approaching 200 tax forms that we make sure get sent out to our folks. We handle step bumps, we handle cost of living adjustments, and then retirement payments. Everything is tracked to the day. A practice that I consider a perk, actually, that I hadn't seen previously in private or public, private sector. It would just be on the next payroll. We'll get you on the next payroll. And here we do it to the day. And I think that that's something that really sets apart public employment as, someplace that people want to work, because those kind of details matter. And they make a difference over the years. So I think it's really great that we are able to support that. And then moving on to benefits, we obviously partner with CIS, they're a great partner, but we don't outsource our benefits, right? We handle them in-house, and that enables us to bring a much higher level of service to our employees, to our former employees, to our retirees than if we did truly do that kind of outside of the organization, and just kind of ship everyone to the outsourcer. And it does add a big lift come year end time, especially since it's a focus for us right now. As we changed all of our benefit elections, every single one of those new elections, the changes, the canceled plans, whatever we did, we all have to get all of that updated in our system to make sure it all gets paid properly going into the new year. So definitely lots of great work happening, and can't thank Mindy enough for all the work that she supports. And then on our hire to retire and our operational work, I'll kind of lump those together for purposes of conversation and time. We're kind of always here just helping folks, right? Whatever the needs of the day happen to be. And then also you got to see the number of new employees that we welcomed to the county this year. So we're never bored. And yeah, because it's really just, if you think about it, it's a recruitment for each one. It's an onboarding for each one. If we're backfilling, there was an offboarding for that. If somebody gets hurt on the job or needs time away for a health condition or to welcome a new family member, we're supporting each and every one of those instances as well. So it's easy to kind of see a smiling face and know that you'll get help, but also forget kind of just like the volume that's there that I want to make sure that I'm giving credit for. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost my chart of my notes. Okay, here we go. And so the other thing that I want to highlight that was really great work in the recent years by the leadership team was getting our bargaining to be in separate years. That was an exceptional foresight and really gives us the opportunity to focus on those when they come up and not have to do a million things at once and kind of put all the rest of our services on hold while we're doing that. So that's something, again, as I'm kind of getting up to speed and seeing how things work and the work that we're doing, that I just am super appreciative and want to make sure we're highlighting and recognizing. I think that is it for this slide. And so I also like to talk about HR in the thought process of we're kind of like a dual team sport where we have our own work that we're doing internally. And then we also support every department in the organization with the work that they're doing. So we kind of end up being a team member of every team in the organization. So I kind of like to think of it as team sports. And then we're kind of all on the same side, and I find it to be a helpful analogy. So the sports that we're working on right now, we were just talking about bargaining, and we're doing that with our sergeants union, as I'm sure all three of you know. And then we also have the Teamsters renewal coming up for July 1. So we'll kind of hopefully, finish up with the sergeants union in the not so distant future, and then we'll be primed and ready to take on the next renewal that is coming our way. I'm sure you're all also aware of the comp study that we've been doing on an ongoing basis this year. We hope to have that finalized by Q1. So looking forward to that. We also are doing our annual classification process, which has been a great learning process for me, and getting to see a lot of the mechanisms that happen at the county and our processes. And the current plan, just so that you have a little bit of a sneak preview, is for us to bring those to the second BOC of this month, so that we can stay on track with our entire budget process. And of course, you're also aware of the Tyler Tech implementation and the great work that Kevin and the leadership team have been doing on that. It's really focused on finance and accounting and the kind of county-wide functions right now. And it'll start heating up for us in HR come February approximately. And that'll last for us into 2027 as we're getting it on. The go live for the new year will be on January 1. So that way we can have a full tax cycle and tax forms from just one system. So that's kind of a look at what we're doing across the board with all of the various teams right now.
Question.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just has to do with timing and there's no other way to do it. But doesn't it seem like we should be having the comp study finished before we do our annual classification process? Isn't that something that would feed into that? Or
yeah, I can see what you're saying. And I would say just it was started because it's on a 3-year cycle, and so we are in the 3rd year of doing the comp study itself. Is on a 3-year cycle. Let me clarify that. So yes, we do want it to be informative of going into the budget year. And that is, I think we're actually on time for that to affect the fiscal year 2027. If assuming that we're able to do that, and there aren't any, tragic delays or anything like, thank you, yes. So I think not only is it on time, but it's also one of those things that because we do it every 3 years, it is not just for the upcoming year, right? It is to make sure that it's kind of to double check and make sure that we're paying where we want to be paying.
Okay.
Does that help?
It is.
Yeah.
Also, the FTES and reclasses, largely it's, if there's a change in the current job description that
Yeah.
we need to take into consideration where the comp study's looking at all our positions. And so we have a couple that have come up that we'll be looking at. FTE asks are interesting. And that one's, we have deadlines set in the policy on when it's supposed to go on. So that's
Okay.
part of it. So
Yeah, I figured that was the case. I just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And like we've talked about, there's always stuff happening behind the scenes. And right now, just with getting Judith and myself onboarded, that's kind of some of the truly behind the scenes work that's happening, is just making sure that we're getting onboarded properly and really understanding all the moving parts that affect the work that we support the county with. I also, again, just want to highlight Mindy did an awesome job of being our interim HR director between the time Lindsay departed. And it's helped me get onboarded. Her and Kevin have been really instrumental in helping me learn kind of the ropes. And so I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. And she also, before I even started, took it upon herself to get Judith trained up on payroll. So that way she had backup while we were on vacation, while she was on vacation. And that really also helps make sure that we don't have a single point of failure with something as essential as our payroll function. So just want to highlight that that Mindy did a great job and I'm super appreciative of it. And then we also, as I'm getting onboarded, I'm just implementing one-on-ones and team meetings, kind of back to the table stakes thing where it's just important to be doing those things. So that way we have a cadence where we're meeting, we're connecting on what the topics of the day, supporting each other, holding each other accountable. And so I think that that's important to make sure that things don't slip through the cracks and all the busyness of what we do to support the county. And then the last one is I want to talk about some of the metrics I'll start tracking in 2026 on the next slide. So some of these are going to be relatively easy to track, and others are simple, but they require intention to capture. And so I think that that's just a little bit of the difference, that it's just about setting intentions going into the new year. So these up here are the primary items that I feel are important to track. Unfortunately, no HR system really tracks these well because there's just too many disparate moving parts and customization of how we handle things at our organization. It doesn't exist out there in HR system land. So again, it's simple for us to track. We just have to make sure that we are tracking it. And so the metrics that feel most relevant to our environment of the county, safety is always first. I feel kind of like trite saying that, but truly there is the employees that are out on the roads, our sheriff's office folks, and even just down to, the traveling that happens amongst all the team members for the county. I just want to make sure that there's always a message that your safety is first. And if we're not doing that, we need to stop and address that. And then how do we track that though within kind of like the HR realm? We really look at this through work comp claims and the variety of different claims we have. And then also tracking incidents, which it can be, it's not mutually exclusive with work comp and incidents. But this is anything from a car accident to other workplace incidences that don't result in an employee injury that would trigger a work comp claim. And that also helps as we address safety throughout the years. That really does help translate to the work comp rates that we get charged. If we are if we go through an accident prone period, our work comp bill will increase. And I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to not just make sure that doesn't happen, but also just to truly support the safety of all of our employees at the county. And then the safety committee is an ongoing thing that is supported, that is done outside of the HR function, which I think is a really great way to make sure that that's important and happening and not just dependent upon the HR function. And I will be continuing the partnership that we've had on that on an ongoing basis. So even though it's handled outside of the HR team, I view it very much as part of what we need to support the organization. And then with our most important asset is our people. We want to make sure we're collecting meaningful data there too. With so many generations in the workplace, highlighting retirements separately from terminations is really essential to gauge our true turnover. And also turnover alone, tracking that won't give us the full picture. And so we want to track churn as well, which is turnover within a position. And I think that those kind of few things, adding those together will give us a really good picture of the activity at the county, because losing somebody to retirement is, I think, we can look at that a little bit differently than losing somebody because they didn't complete their probationary period. So I want to make sure that we're tracking the right things so that we can tell the story of what's truly happening underneath the numbers, and that we have something to gauge ourselves consistently by as the years go on as well. I also like to track things within the recruiting process, because recruiting can be a really big lift. And the more that we are serving our existing employee base and focusing on retention and attracting the right folks, the less recruiting that we have to do, the less costly it is, the less time we have to spend doing it. And so if we're tracking these metrics, total postings, qualified versus total applicants, number of interviews, number of offers that come out of those, again, they're simple to track, just takes intention, and it can make sure that we are doing a really great job of getting folks through that process, finding opportunities for cost savings, everything from, paying less for job postings, to just spending fewer of our hours on those functions, and getting hiring managers and their employees time back in their days from not having to deal with the turnover in a department or in a role. And then same thing for headcount. The number of new hires is helpful, but it's not nearly as informative as showcasing folks that are passing their probationary period of either 6 or 12 months, depending on the role. So definitely an important thing to be tracking there. And again, it just takes intention to be doing that. So that way we can have that data to report on an ongoing basis. So that really is the bulk of, and again, this is what I want to start bringing in the new year, because tracking these in retrospect is more challenging, just because I don't have the organizational knowledge to back it up yet. So yeah, looking forward to kind of tweaking these and getting input from all of you on that, about what questions you have or changes that you'd like to see that might make more sense. Definitely open to feedback and talking through things in the year to come and beyond. So that really is all I have for this report. But yeah, happy to answer questions.
I could tell you one thing, and you might be planning it under recruiting. I'm not sure what you want.
Sure.
But one thing I would like to see is open positions, by name, how long they've been open, and how many applicants, just a general comment section that you get from the applicants, or if an offer is made and they don't take it. We're presented with statements sometimes when we're making decisions about certain positions,
Yeah,
how they're funded, or just about the communities in general.
yeah,
And I would like to have that information. I would
Yeah.
Like, okay, say you have a qualified applicant, first, yeah, and you offer, make them an offer. They say no, and they give you a reason. I'd like to know what that reason is.
Sure.
Pay, no housing,
yeah,
you wanna live there.
Yeah.
Whatever,
absolutely.
that's what I'd like to know.
Yeah,
And not
absolutely.
lump together, but
Mhm.
because different positions seem to be, have different attributes, as far
Mhm.
as applicants and, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that that's super important to track, and I absolutely feel comfortable saying, yes, we can support that. I don't know that that has been a huge issue at the county in the past. Let's hopefully keep
Well-
it that way.
Well,
But it
have-
is super important to know
Yeah, we
about.
have gotten reports on what positions are open
Mhm.
in the past.
Yeah,
And we kind of get a verbal sketch on, and then we ask, or I do, what did they say? Why didn't they take the job?
yeah.
Or when people call you, why can't you get applications for that?
Hmm.
And maybe just, I don't care, you got feeling, or, I don't know, but then, because we're asked to make decisions, about certain positions, whether it's pay, location,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So that you guys can help
It'll help
drive the
us-
qualitative.
Yeah, it'll help us make these decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, happy to bring that along as well. So. And just so I'm capturing this properly, we want to gauge the number of applicants, how long we keep postings open. And then if we aren't getting the qualified applicants, or if we have folks that are turning us down, we need that information so that we can appropriately impact the other things that might move the needle for that. Am I getting that right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll be sure to add that. Great.
I think everything that you have proposed to track in your metrics for starting in 2026 looks great. And I really look forward to it and appreciate it. So
Yeah.
thank you. That was good.
Yeah. Thanks. Looking forward to it as well.
Any questions? No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Report was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. First is, finance monthly report, and it's, billing, so.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good.
So I think this is our typically our accounts payable, which is also in this in the packet for October. But I wanted to just give the board a verbal update on some of the goings on with regards to staffing in the department, because we talked about the challenges that we were facing with that. We had following the approval, I guess, of relocating the finance department up in the Irrigan office. We reposted the finance manager and the accounting technician jobs with Irrigan as a as the work location. We did receive much higher response than what we received with our prior postings, and on Monday of this week, our new accounting technician started. And so we were successful in hiring and filling that vacancy. Her name is Angel. She's actually downstairs helping getting caught up on accounts payable right now. And she actually lives up in the north end of the county in Irrigan. So and then we are working on finalizing an offer for a potential finance manager applicant as well. So some light at the end of the tunnel. Those positions have been open quite a while, as you know.
That would get you to full staffing, correct?
Yeah. Wanted to provide also an update on our fiscal year 2025 financial audit. We are even though short staff, we're actually well aligned to get the financial audit issued prior to the filing deadline for the state. So fingers crossed, we shouldn't have to file for an extension this year, which is something that we've had to do in the last couple of years. And I was concerned about that, given our staffing, but looks like we've managed to keep that on track. I think county council is working on his attorney letter, which is the only outstanding item other than the management discussion and analysis, which is the portion that I write. And I will put that together this week after I receive the draft financial package from the audit firm. So we're on track there. And we've also managed to stay on track with the ERP project. Just to kind of reiterate the amount of time commitment over the last month, on average, we've had, when we do these system overview and implementation configuration sessions. Generally speaking, we've been having about 20 to 24 hours per week of online 8 to 4:30 or 8 to noon meetings, and time devoted to that. I know everybody's really busy, so appreciate the support and the participation that we've been getting. It's primarily, as Chelsea mentioned, focused on the financial module, but there are things that affect outside the finance department. We've pulled other people in as appropriate, and we'll continue to do that. So I think that is one other thing. We posted a vacancy announcement for the open position on the budget committee. It was position 1. It was filled by Cutsworth previously. And she has expressed an interest in being reappointed, and I got that communication from her, but we're creating the posting, and I'll bring forward a list of interested applicants. And I have a small, simple application form that we have people fill out. I'll bring that forward at the first meeting in January to fill that vacancy. So, any questions?
That's a great report.
I don't.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Okay, next one, and the mystery report.
Commission, appreciate the opportunity to report to you. Provided a written report with several activities that we're going through. There are just a couple items that weren't on the written report that I'd just like to provide you verbally. One thing is the Black Mountain Water District request up at Lakes Ranch. Wanted to let you know that those groups have met with Matt Kinney, Mike Gorman, and Justin Nelson. They've talked about the issue. That property was not partitioned out, so it doesn't really exist, and so that there's a previous legal claim that could be backtracked and checked in on that. As such, the county does not have a role at this time in dedicating that over or conveying it. So they've been instructed to look at other courses on that, and if there comes a point where they can show that that property doesn't exist or have a legal claim to it, then the county, actually, it needs to be referred to court and taken care of in that way. And so just wanted to give you an update on that. Also, I was able to go to the H2O annual board meeting last night. Had a good presentation there. I was able to just give them an update on Clean Water Consortium, and it was neat to meet some of those and business leaders in our community and in Umatilla County, and to just kind of associate with them. So that was a good activity. Also, if you haven't, I know we have an invite to meet with the Adjutant General at the Reese Training Center on a week from Friday. And so he's interested in that. Just wanted to, I know we had an email come out before Thanksgiving. Just wanted to make sure if that's on your radar. I was planning to attend, but they want to see commissioners, not staffers. So if any of you are available, if you wouldn't mind responding to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Also on the capital improvement advisory committee, we'll be looking to
get a project list to the board meeting on December 17th meeting. The we'll just we are going to be getting a consultant in to be able to provide some more revised budgetary estimates on those items. The policy talks about me having that plan to you at the first meeting in January. That's going to slip a little bit because of just taking care of these items. I wanted to give you an update on that as we get the contractor decided on the CIP advisory. Then we can give you a schedule on that. I'm hoping that doesn't slip too far, but just wanted to get that update.
No, on that, my memory serves me right. We get presented with a master list without prioritization. That's done on the next step, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a list. We'll have some very vague numbers on some of the projects and no numbers on others.
Well, yeah, some of them, some of the fair ones, we've gotten numbers from previous, attempts at looking at those projects. And so those numbers are more solid. Some of them are things that, we've never pursued. And so,
Yeah.
What it will really cost.
Right.
We can take a guess, but that's the best.
Yeah. Courthouse renovation here, we've got some from a 4-year-old study. So, we try to adjust it, but that consultant who would come in January would be what we'd want to have nail those down for us. And so that's what we're looking for to do. Appreciated the opportunity to go to AFC conference and meet you all there and participate in that. And that's kind of my report past the written one. Any questions
Any
or
questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Nope, okay, thank you. Okay, consent agenda is our next up.
So I move approval of the consent agenda as presented with pulling out number A first.
What?
Number or letter A.
The minutes, yeah, I have something on that too, so.
Um,
Okay, so.
We're moving to business items.
What?
It would move to business. We have a public hearing. I just want to make sure we're moving it to business items. Is that what we're gonna do?
or just this, what I got's real quick.
No, we're
Okay.
we're gonna just pull that out and deal with it, then. Well, not either way, we've done extended agenda, we talked about it. It's pulled out, but anyway. Okay, so we want to pull out the minutes? Okay, so let's talk about the minutes.
Well, do you want to?
Well, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented with pulling out item A.
Second.
Moving to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
So my comments on for the November 5th minutes. When it shows that the people present that list me as present, I was absent now. When it goes through the action items. Valerie correctly noted that for any votes taken, I was absent, but I think that it should show that I was not present. That was the correction I had.
Yes.
You said you had something, Dave.
Well, that was one of them. So anyway, weren't you there? Did you make up your mind? No, it was just okay. Let's see. One I got was a typo in resolution. Commissioner Peterson motion. It's just a typo.
Which one, sir?
Resolution R-20257 under the section of the sheriff's office rifle updates. The text reads Commissioner Peterson motion to adopt. Just
Okay.
delete the extra word motion. And then. Maybe I'm on some of these, but I'm gonna bring out my concerns. Okay, under the amendment, we amended a motion.
This is the October 30th one.
Yeah, this is October 30th. Okay, the minutes record that I made a motion and then Commissioner Peterson motion to amend it. Okay, and then the minutes recorded that it was just a single unanimous approval for the amendment. So I believe I remember called out and made that, we passed that motion for the amendments separately. I don't know if that's a big deal. Is that?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that
that
up. It should say, Commissioner Peterson motion to amend the previous motion on the table to approve hiring, blah, 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 blah. The amendment was approved. Unanimous approval, and then the motion on the
Separate
table
motion.
was also voted on unanimous approval.
Right. That's right, because I was moving forward to do the whole thing at once, and we did it the right way, so.
So, yeah, I was gonna bring that correction up too.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, October 30th and November 5th with the items noted. There's,
I second.
okay,
You got it on that?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
move to second, any further discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Carried. Okay, before we do our public hearings. Meeting is kind of back to order, and next up we'll have our public hearing. There was a minute here. Okay. Make sure I didn't public hearings correct, so don't back to bite you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Always like to get the process right. That's. Okay. No, I'll just. Do it, okay, we have in front of us a, request. To approve the franchise rate increase from Miller and Sons. As recommended by the Solid Waste Supervisor. And what we do is we hold a public hearing on this, it's required. So we'll go through that process on the first one here. So I'll start off and we'll open the public testimony.
What do you want to start with staff? There's a
Staff report, yeah, I'm sorry. Eric, you give us a staff report. One thing I need to do first too is there any commissioners or anyone that has a conflict of interest that they need to disclose?
I don't think it's a conflict of interest, but I will state that, I am a member of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee doing bringing recommendations and presenting the recommendation, part of the vote. Move the recommendation forward.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Thank you, commissioners. Eric Imes, Public Works Director for Morrow County, also the Morrow County Solid Waste Administrator. Wanted to preface these requests by saying that you'll see kind of aging dates and such that at the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, we had some challenges getting some voting done just due to quorum, so that these requests are started back in April and in July. So just wanted to communicate that. We've seen some of the older dates. This increase request is by Miller and Sons back in July. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee reviewed and approved a proposed franchise increase for Miller and Sons. The company prefers to work in whole dollars, so you'll see increases between 3 and 4%, as laid out in Part 3 in the fiscal impact. Um, there is a rate sheet included and for review. It talks about the increases in the whole dollar amounts and then also the order. Pretty cut and dry. Are there any questions about this request?
Questions of staff?
Is this, how often are we making updates?
So thank you for asking that. A lot of time it's annually. There was a big gap in years with some of the franchisees and the Finley Buttes landfill through 2019, 2020. We saw a pretty big increase. So we're gonna start seeing these annually, I believe. And these requests again come in last spring. So we might see another request in the first quarter next year.
Any other questions, of staff? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll open the public testimony portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to favor of this agreement? Anyone on Zoom that wants to speak in favor, raise your hand. Okay, is there anyone here that wants to speak opposed or neutral, that just wants to make a statement about this rate increase in the room? Anyone on Zoom, raise your hand. Do I see anybody? No? Okay.
I don't see any.
All right, so we'll close the public testimony portion and the commission can make their decision. We had a suggested motion now.
3% within, inflation, so it's fine. I move to approve the franchise rate increase request from Miller and Sons as recommended by the Solid Waste Advisory Committee effective November 6, 2025. And signing order number OR-2025-08.
Do I hear a second?
I will second it for discussion. I think that the November 6th date probably shouldn't be the date.
I was thinking that as over.
So I would say, at the earliest, probably December 4th would be the recommended date. And then in the resolutions, I know that they have the incorrect dates. I just think that they should reflect the correct dates of, if when we meet, that have it reflect December 3rd, effective date, December 4th. So our local parliamentarian, Gus, what's the correct way to fix this?
Well, I would say that we would make the motion and say effective. So why is it November 6th? What day is the
So
week is that?
it appears that that was the original date that we had it slated to come before the BOC. Because of some misstatement on the hearing. It was like 9 o'clock at night. We pushed it back to here.
Yeah.
This agenda item was not updated accordingly. And so if I could propose just an amendment to the resolution to update the whereases, the presentation is on December 3rd, and that the effective date would be December 4th, if that's what the BOC would like to do.
Do I hear that motion?
I will amend my motion to say that.
I will second it.
There's a second to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay. The underlying motion. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move on to our second public hearing, sanitary disposal rate increase. Start with your staffing.
So again, Dave, I'll just say that I was a member of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee that heard these presentations and was part of the vote forward to the BOC.
Okay. All right, Eric.
Thank you. Sanitary disposal has submitted a request for a 5% increase. Also post date November 1st, 2025. This request was based on CPI in the West region. As Solid Waste Advisory Committee was held on October 21st, the committee did review and unanimously recommended the approval of the proposed 5% rate increase, with the exception that sanitary disposal would provide a detailed cost analysis report for commercial residential disposal fees at the next SWAC that's in January. The franchisee did request from the Board of Commissioners to consider retroactive November 1st for the fees. That's your guys' decision. I just wanted to pass that along. Are there any questions?
Why are we using the consumer price index for urban wage earners? I recognize Morrow County is growing, but that seems like a stretch to me.
The franchisee representative is on Zoom. If you would like to ask him that question, he is available. It's, Kevin
I
Miracle.
would like that, yes.
Kevin, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here. Can everybody hear me?
Do you understand the question?
Yeah, it's the one that we used across the board on stuff like that. The actual CPI, when we started, we pulled it in December of 24. And then when we got in front of the SWAC committee in January, we had issues with the vote. So now you're seeing a 5% because we pulled it again since it's been so long. That's why you're seeing it at the 5%.
That doesn't necessarily answer my question on why we're using urban wage earners. Why are we using that? Is there no rural? Why is urban being used?
I don't believe there is.
Okay. So perhaps it's just a misnomer and it should just say wage earners?
Yeah, it's the one that we pull from the West Coast. It's one that we pull across the board for all counties and cities. Even, out in Pendleton, they do the same thing.
I think it's used by everyone. I think it's the only one there is for our region.
So I want clarity on that. And then as I understand it, we had a 37% increase in 2024. How do we make sure that we are not growing this rate at a rate that is unreasonable for our constituents? Because that adds up.
Yeah, that's exactly why we want to come in every single year and do these small CPIs. It went on for many years with Sanitary Inc., the previous owners, where they weren't requesting enough, or they weren't coming in a timely manner. There was some long windows when they would come in and request a rate increase. So the 37.5% was pulling the Band-Aid off. We're basing everything now off CPI. So we're not going to see those big increases anymore.
Okay.
Any other questions, Judge?
I guess as a hypothetical question, what happens if we say no?
Well, then
I'm curious.
we're going to have to continue to negotiate, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I've provided so much information when it comes to all of the pricing around the region and what it costs to haul trash. And, we're not out of line asking for this. And part of that 5% is also the increase at Finley. We take a portion of that Finley increase too. So that there's we call it pass through, is basically we drive the truck across the scales and get charged for the trash. And that increase gets passed through the customer, that we're not going to see at Sanitary, but that we will have to pay out to Finley.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Or? Good.
No, that's it for me.
Anything? Okay, with that, we'll open the public testimony portion. Is there anybody who wants to speak in favor of this rate increase? In the room? Anybody on Zoom?
Not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. So is anybody who wants to speak in opposition or neutral? Just want to make a statement. in the room or on Zoom? Anybody? Okay, we'll close the public testimony portion.
Oh, we do have one.
Okay, who we got?
Lindsay Grogan.
Lindsay? You're on.
Good morning, commissioners.
Hello.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for letting me speak. I just wanted to speak on this increase with the excellent points that Commissioner Peterson made with the large increase last year, or I guess it's a year and a half ago, and then the 5% this year. The CPI for urban is 5%, but we should not be going off of that same increase. When you give the employees a 3.4% last year, and then you agree to a 5% CPI, then it doesn't really match up. So that's all I wanted to say was it seems like it's climbing exponentially fast.
Can I ask a question? This is Kevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is she referring to with employees price, their wage increase?
So that was the set yearly CPI West range that we had for the calendar year of 2024 was a 3.4% increase. And so that kind of justifies the 3% that you originally asked for, but doesn't necessarily tie into the 5% you're asking for now.
Yeah, we increased our staff on average by about 4.5% to 5%. Some saw a higher one depending on their position, but nobody was under 4 for their increase this year.
Just for the record, can I get both you guys, the Matt, I know, yeah, and is it Kevin? Could
Yes.
you identify yourselves for the record since you're testifying?
I'm Kevin Miracle, the district manager for sanitary disposal.
Okay. And Matt, you made comments, so did you?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Matt Jensen, County Administrator, Morrow County.
Just on the record, because it's recorded. Any other testimony for the public testimony portion? Okay, we'll close that and the commission will make its decision. We have I've lost it here now. We have a suggested motion. Do I hear the motion? Where is it? I lost it. Okay,
So Dave, I'll make the motion to approve the franchise rate increase requested from sanitary disposal as recommended by the Solid Waste Advisory Committee effective December 4th, 2025. Approve and sign order OR 2025-07 with a note that that order will also have the correct dates inserted into it for the whereas denoting today's date and the effective date.
okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, then move to second. Any further discussion?
I would be more comfortable if we had the rate at 3 or 4% to match, what we do internally in the county. I recognize that's small, but I want to set a precedent that we're not going to be raising rates for people that are higher than the rates that we do for our own internal. So that's my thought on that.
Can you prepared to make amend a motion to amend that, pick one of those 3 or 4?
I move that we amend the motion to say 3.5% rather than 5% as a rate increase.
Do I hear a second? I'll second. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
That passed. Okay. The underlying motion Second, and, you'll just second any further discussion on the base one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay, go to business side. First up is a whistleblower complaint investigation, legal requirements, and process ratification. That's me. Okay, so we got the cover sheet. There it is. And the addendum. I think what I'll do is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I am gonna go through the addendum and the process that I went through on this complaint. Okay, as you can see, I received the whistleblower complaint. It was brought to me by a lawyer, written. And I took it to Human Resources, that's the first thing. And I just have to say, with every stop I made, there's, well, I didn't make all the stops, but the first thing I told them was, I want to do what I'm required to do as an elected official in Morrow County. That's my number one goal. What is my obligation as an elected official that receives a whistleblower complaint? What am I obligated to do? And that guided every step of the, none of this was my opinion or anything. So HR contacted CIS, our insurance, asked them what to do. They recommended to her that she get legal consultation. She arranged a meeting with our county counsel, Justin Nelson. The three of us met. He left, and then he did not follow up. I don't know, because he was corresponding with her, but I was just informed a week later that he still had not gave us any legal advice. So HR asked, and it had been recommended by CIS that we contact legal counsel. So HR asked me, considering the sensitive nature of who was involved and who in this hierarchy, if I would contact outside counsel, which I did. And I told the outside counsel the exact same thing I told everybody else. I want to do what I'm legally and ethically mandated to do or responsible for doing as an elected official in Morrow County. And I was told from there, after legal counsel, which can't get into an open meeting, what to do. So that's what guided the process from there on. So. And what I'm asking here, so not just me, but what's being requested is, and you can read through the part about what's required under whistleblower law. You know, you're dealing with a lot of laws here. That's why I made sure I got consultation. These experts. I don't know anything about it. That you're dealing with whistleblower law, and you're also dealing with Oregon employment law. So an investigation is required. So anyway, asking ratify the approved investigation and authorize funds to do so. Any questions? Go ahead. Put your motion to do that.
This was, you look like you wanted to say something.
Go for it.
I will move to ratify and approve the investigation and authorize funds to do so. I second.
Okay, then move a second and further discussion.
I just, I appreciate that we're doing this, and I appreciate that you've done everything as you understood to do, and hopefully in the future, we don't ever have to do this again. But maybe we can use this as a template of, let's make sure we've got it
got it approved by the board and then we'll roll forward.
Well, you know, and that brings up a question that I've been thinking about. I don't know if it's relative to this, or we should talk about it later, is do we need a policy?
Yes, I think we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I agree with that, but yeah,
Let's do that at the moment.
agreed.
Okay. So right now, okay, been moving second, and all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next up would be our Wheat Ridge East Winter Road dedication. Ryan, there he is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for
So
hanging in there with us.
So I will recuse myself because NextEra does business with Unitil Electric and I'm on the board of directors there, so I'm not taking any of these discussions or votes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll kind of give an overview. I want to say one, thanks for your time today. I want to give a shout out to Matt Kenny, who really helped me along with this process, as well as Eric, have been super helpful. These two road dedications are kind of independent of our wind facilities at this point. They're roads that we built that people in the community, landowners, public works have kind of expressed an interest that they would like to keep because they think it's like a better permanent road than what was routed there before. So the two road improvements specifically are the Sand Hollow to Spur Loop connector. And then also near the hairpin on the Doherty property where his shop is, it just straightens out Spur Loop a little bit there. So those are the two road dedications. I've submitted the signed and notarized dedication deeds from the landowners that are now up to the commissioners pending your approval and execution for those two items.
All right, well, I mean, I'm happy to approve of improving roads, so that's all I've got to say on that.
Did you make that motion?
I move to approve the road dedications to straighten Spur Loop Road and improve the Sand Hollow Road Spur Loop Road connector.
Okay, and here's some. Oh, see, I have to do that.
So you had.
Oh, well, let's get a second as a comment. I want to get a second first before we discuss this.
I think you have to because Jeff recused
I
himself.
I know, I forget that every time. I'll second it. Been moved and second. Any further discussion? Was it Tamara? Tamara?
Yep, thank you, commissioners. Matt sent me a message earlier today and asked whether or not there's any land use procedure or review. I did look it up and it's in an exclusive farm use zone, so REFU zone mimics the state statute. The good news is the relevant zoning, my interpretation is that those roads can be realigned provided that no new land parcels result from that realignment. And both of these pass that test. And the statute, which Stephen helped me look up, requires that there's a formal dedication document. And if you accept what Ryan has presented, hi Ryan, by the way, and county council is fine with that, that would comply with that. The last comment I would provide is as a condition of approval, if either the commissioners or Matt can ask Ryan or NextEra or the landowners, or you can direct staff to do it as well. Eric and I can work together. But that part that's being removed really needs to go through a formal road vacation process. Otherwise, both of those things will be on the books. And that's just kind of a sloppy thing. I know when Matt Kenny and I chatted about this, it feels like a year ago, we both talked about that. And you can appreciate there are some other instances of this in the county, and it just kind of makes record keeping a little bit sloppy. Road vacation process is pretty straightforward, but if somebody can direct staff or the landowner or NextEra to do that, we can make sure we go through that formal process. It also requires a hearing. It's great that all the legwork has been done because the underlying landowners are both supportive of this. So I wouldn't expect any objection, but it's better to keep our maps clean.
Tamara, thank you for the backup. And yeah, my intention for the road vacation that I was tracking was to get this first road monumented, accepted prior to vacationing the existing road. But yeah, totally understand. And looking back at it now, I probably should have looped you in myself with Matt, just to get some updated guidance, but I apologize for that.
No problem. I had to jump on my toes this morning right away. It's all good.
Okay. So you are planning on pursuing that road vacation then?
Yes, sir. I'm going to confirm with Eric and Matt, and I'll confirm with Tamara that the road is like properly documented. We have new permanent roads, and then once that's in place, we'll start the vacation process to clean up the county maps.
Chair, if I could ask just a question. I know the one you straightened out a little jog. This other one that's right adjacent to Sand Hollow, is the old road going to be vacated or will that be maintained? I guess that's a question for you and Eric. So
Based on our discussions with Eric and the landowner, they want that road vacationed.
So for
Yeah,
both
there's a big change
for
here.
both actions,
Yeah.
we're looking at a vacation. Okay.
Yeah, and specifically the Sand Hollow Spur Loop Connector Road, the intention would be to remove that old road, whereas the straightening of the Spur Loop Road, Cliff likes that little side area as a hay yard. So it'll just be a gravel area for the landowner.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Ryan?
Not for me.
It wouldn't be right if I didn't do. Okay, it's been moved to second, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for the input, Tamara. Okay. Wayne Grill Energy Center Road. Ryan.
So the same thing, Dave. So
Same thing, I'll have to turn over to. Thanks, Dave.
Yes, commissioners, we are advancing our Wagon Trail Energy Center solar project, which is located essentially around Strawberry East Road near our current existing solar and substation facility there. The road use agreement, I've worked a lot with Eric and taken our lessons learned from the Wheat Ridge East Wind road use agreement. And so it's outlines the same form, same requirements as us as the developer. There's, I want to say, two real key updates there. One is I've shortened the review time for the actual haul route exhibits to, I think it was at 90 days and now it's at 30 days. So that's more of an administrative change. And then written into that contract, Wagon Trail Energy Center LLC is making the commitment to work with one of the county's preferred vendors to seal or pave Strawberry East Road from Bombing Range to Lindsay Road. So that's about a 2.5 mile piece of road that we'll seal. And that's really two reasons: help control dust during construction when there's a lot of traffic. Also, it's just going to be a better road for harvest season as well. And so I think that'll make the landowners in the area happier, and it's just more high quality road within the county as well.
Okay.
I will say, just as like a notification, I did submit this document to county council about 2 weeks ago, but I know Justin was at AOC and then it was a holiday week, so I have not heard back on this form, but I know the next commissioners meeting was canceled, so I just want to go ahead and get on the agenda and start working through any issues now, but I do recommend having Justin review and sign that form prior to your execution.
Okay. Any questions, Ryan?
I don't think so. Eric, do you have any comments that you wanted to make?
No, only that, yes, read through the road use agreement, very little changes. Exactly what was presented here, just 30 days instead of 90 days on the I don't have it in front of me, those 30-day responses instead of the 90 days on changes and such like that, with routes and things. And then the work on Strawberry is not something that we've had before. Everything else is exactly the same as what we've been using.
Yeah. And just as a reference, while we don't have a signature on Justin's sign off on this, as this is kind of a boilerplate, he did review and sign it as part of the packet, so he has seen that. So
Well, I will go ahead and move to approve and sign the road use agreement with Wagon Trail Energy Center.
So is that a motion to sign this? Because we don't have exhibits attached with this.
Yeah, so reading through there, we
Sorry to interrupt.
we are not required, the way that this agreement was set up and the Wheat Ridge East agreement was set up, we were not required to submit agreements on the front end, but it is required prior to the start of construction, and that those will play into those part of that 30-day review period. I will say this is much simpler than, let's say, a wind facility that's stretching over like 40,000 acres, as it's going to be a condensed construction area surrounding Strawberry, and really the whole route's going to be from the interstate down Bonding Range to Strawberry. We're just working to get those final exhibits incorporated, and those will be approved by Public Works Director according to the agreement.
May I try again?
Please, sorry.
You're good. Right. I move to approve and sign the road use agreement with Wagon Trail Energy LLC pending legal counsel's approval.
I'll second. Been moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And Commissioner, I know there were some questions about FSAC talking with Corey earlier. If you had specific questions of like enforcement actions that FSAC can give us, I'm happy to answer those questions, and also for the record.
So from your viewpoint, what does FSEC,
So like as a permit, they could give you like a stop work order, which, on the scope of a large construction project would have tens of thousands of dollars worth of impact potentially per day.
how about a completed project?
Completed project, it's financial. They could fine you or have other local state agencies fine you,
Okay.
depending on who has jurisdiction over that area.
So there is a potential negative impact.
Yeah.
More than just a bad boy list.
I think you would get like a warning and like a cure period, but like if no action is taken or no cure, I guess is satisfactory, or somebody else has to spend money to fix your mistake, that's where those monetary fines would come in.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, next, that annual update, Katie Murray and Cruella. I didn't see them around.
Oh, Katie Murray's
Oh,
online.
that's Katie. Hi, Katie.
Hi, good morning, commissioners.
You got the floor.
And sends her regrets. She had a couple other concerns this morning, so I will be giving the report today. We just wrapped up the physical report, so it's not in your packet. I'll get that over to Valerie though for you. So I'll just give you guys a couple of different highlights from the year. So for those who don't know, the Willow Creek Valley Economic Development Group serves the Hefner zip code and provides a variety of grant programs to meet mostly its priorities of housing and business development, but as well as social services development like childcare and seniors here in the South Morrow County. WICFED is CREZ funded. This year we were awarded $504,000 from CREZ 2. And with that investment, actually this year, WICFED turned around and invested over $975,000 in the community and in various ways. And some of the major highlights was the construction of 2 new 1,100 square foot homes in downtown Hefner. The initial goal of these homes is to provide smaller, accessible homes for seniors who want to downsize, because we have a lot of great family homes here, and seniors that would like to have smaller spaces, then possibly opening up those family homes for housing. We continued all our grant programs, housing, business, demo, utility and abatement, and then also our new construction program. And those were all very successful this year as well. Our new construction one started in 2024, and that one's been shown to be a really popular program. We've had 5 new homes being built in 2025. We anticipate another 5, which for us here in this zip code, it's a pretty massive amount. And that investment was over $98,000 in grant funding to different homeowners. And then our community enhancement grant is a really popular one as well. We saw 15 community projects funded this year in 2 rounds of funding in the spring and the fall, with a total of $245,000. And we saw a total investment with that grant funding of $980,000, which is huge. That's the highest we've ever had. We almost hit that million mark. We were hoping to hit it this year. We hope we can next year. But very successful. Really happy with that program. It's always a popular one every year. And 2026 looks really promising. We'll continue to provide our established grant programs, support business resource development, our senior and child care services, and we're also helping with the Willow Creek Terrace assisted living program. They're working on a duplex to kind of have some transitional housing next to the assisted living facility. So that's a great new project for 2026 as well. So like I said, great year, great projects, and we look forward to the new year. Do you guys have any questions?
No, I don't.
I do not. Thank you.
Just to say, we appreciate your hard work on this. It's very valuable to the community.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Very important. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks. Just reporting. All right. Thanks, Katie. Okay, next up would be our appointing members of the Morrow County Property Value Appeals Board. We got who's did on that. Matt, are you?
This was submitted by our county clerk, I believe, but this is naming the Property Value Appeals Board for this coming year, and so it's a motion requesting for them for the members to be Ed Rollins and Greg Sweek as non-office holders, and that Jeff Winholtz as the governing body representative. And so they're asking for consideration of appointment of those individuals.
Well, I know at least one of those individuals uses it as an excuse to not be on anything else since he's not allowed to. So I'm tempted to try to remove him. No, I will not do that to him. So I will make the motion to appoint Ed Rollins and Greg Sweek as our non-office holding residents in Morrow County for the Board of Appeals, and to have Jeff serve as the office holding representative.
Okay.
We'll second.
Been moved to second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, next up was a HB 2089 property tax foreclosure. Mike.
Woohoo! Oh my.
This one's got more of a dismal
Great, thank you.
outcome than earlier presentation.
A great opening line.
Well, this is quite a topic.
Yeah.
So when you find that,
yeah.
I'm just going to be running very high level through a presentation that I attended down at the Oregon Public Property Managers Association session at AOC a couple of weeks ago. And this is in regards to the U.S. Supreme Court case, Tyler versus Hennepin County, from a few years back. So go ahead, Matt, if you want to. I think give a little bit of a breakdown here. Geraldine Tyler owed $15,000 in unpaid taxes and interest. They got foreclosed on by their jurisdiction, wherever they were, Hennepin County, I think it's in Minnesota. Was sold for $40,000, leaving a difference of $25,000 between the taxes and fees owed and what the sales price was. Miss Tyler then had a claim under the takings clause in, I believe, the U.S. Constitution that she's entitled to just compensation. So basically, what Tyler versus Hennepin, what this U.S. Supreme Court decision said is that all assessing and taxing jurisdictions in the United States must come up with a process to deal with excess funds from these types of instances. So go ahead, Matt. Oregon decided to take it to the extreme. They first started out in the short session in 2024. This was a big deal for a lot of the advocacy groups and lobbyists, AARP, and their view on property tax foreclosures is big bad government coming and taking people's homes away from them, and counties' greed, and which is absolutely not the case. There isn't a county in Oregon that wants to foreclose on anybody's property. There isn't a tax collector in Oregon that's that way. So what came out of the short session, we decided to have the DOR coordinate with county tax officers, other interested parties, create a work group, and come up with recommendation for the 2025 session. That did occur. I was a part of that work group. There were good days and there were bad days, but we thought we had something that was really workable and really in the spirit of the U.S. Supreme Court case, coming up with a process to deal with these any excess funds from a tax foreclosure sale. Go ahead, Matt. So I'll go ahead. One more. I already skipped. All right. So that work group, those findings were presented to the legislature. And then all of a sudden we get House Bill 2089 that is nothing like what the work group recommendation was. There's new notice requirements, there's new definitions, there's new reporting. I mean, there's just a whole, and I'll go through it here very high level. Go ahead, Matt. And I am one more, and I am not an expert on this yet. Well, there's going to be more discussion too. Okay, so previously, when we're getting ready to foreclose, we send all these we send certified mail and regular mail to the owner, or anybody that has an interest in the property. This bill now we have to and we publish it in the paper. Now we have to do more due diligence to actually locate the property owners. Past practice and statute said that you send it to the address you have on file, and if that's not their address, they had informed us new address, then do your best, but there's no real requirement, which we would always try to find a valid mailing address for someone, because we want them to get their tax bill so they can have the opportunity to pay their taxes, so we don't have to start the foreclosure proceedings. Now we have to apparently do more research in trying to locate owners that may not we may not have the correct address for. We have to do it in a certain font. We have to supply it in up to 5 languages. And this is just pre-foreclosure. This is just getting ready. Go ahead, Matt.
So what is there any definition of what that due diligence is, or is that?
No, it's this is so poorly written and it's conflicting with existing statute that just going to end up going I think, because wait for someone to litigate it and a judge to slam his gavel, and then we'll have case law to tell us how to do it. Or hopefully in the 27 session, there's enough of a uh, push to fix this. Um, you know, uh, it- along with the changes of notice that we have to do, changes of the expiration of the redemption period, which is 1 year, and then no more than 30 days and no less than 20 days at the end of the redemption period. We still have to do, we have to find, keep trying to find the owners or anyone with an interest in the property. Have to be the certain font, 14-point font, the different languages. We have to inform the Department of Revenue. We have to inform the Department of Treasury. And we also have to post all this information on the county website with a certain font and in these different languages that can change from year to year. Go ahead, Matt. So once we take deed to the property, we have to deal with it. We have to try to sell it. We have to try, or if we want to keep it, we have to come up with a value. Like if the county wanted to keep it for its own purpose, let's say to, build a sheriff's office on or something, then we would have to either have to get an appraisal, independent appraisal, or use the last certified value on the roll that my office provides, whichever is higher, and calculate the difference between the back taxes and fees and what the value is, and then cut a check to the Department of Treasury just in case somebody may have a claim. There's and if we auction the property or sell it and there is excess funds, then we have to account for that and cut a check to the Department of Treasury.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, we have to give notices to the Department of Revenue and Department of Justice. And this is who can be a claimant, the former property owner, their estate, or any successor, who cannot be creditors or garnishers, lien holders, or voluntary assignee of a claimant's interest. Now, that last one, I believe, is being litigated. People will come. We're seeing it right now, where we're already involved in lawsuits for some prior foreclosures that we've taken, where people say, some law firms will give an heir some money to get their right of interest in a claim on the property. Go ahead, Matt. One more. So how we would deal with prior foreclosures is the commission would, if it was a property valued with a value over $15,000, it would have to go to an auction. They would, order an auction of the surplus foreclosed property. The sheriff's office would then handle the auction, and hopefully it's sold. If it's sold, then we get our money back. Hopefully, if there was any excess, it got distributed to all the taxing districts. So, the county didn't keep the money, they kept a portion of it, but all the districts got to share in that. If there wasn't any excess funds, then, the districts just lost to that amount of taxes that they didn't get. Now, let me keep going there. If it didn't sell at auction, or if it was a property that was valued less than 15,000, then the commissioners or the county could entertain sealed bids and just sell the property. Now, the county, and this is for residential properties, they call out residential properties. The county must hire a real estate broker to sell the property. And if it doesn't sell within 10 months, or if the county cannot find a realtor to sell it, then we go back to the auction process. If we hire a real estate agent, the property must be listed at the highest price in which the property is reasonably expected to sell. And if the value of the property is over 250K, or we think it is, we have to get a fee appraisal done on it, like a bank appraisal. And if that bank appraisal comes in less than the last certified market value that I put on, my department puts on, we use the higher value. It's weird. And here's this last bullet point. It's one of the things that conflicts with existing law. The county may choose to retain the property for public purposes, or it may transfer the title to a nonprofit or purpose of public benefit. We used to be able to have the opportunity to sell to another municipality, which we've sold to cities before. We sold to the port, a piece of property. So now, the original statute says you can do that. This new statute says you can't. So there's a conflict.
So municipalities are they're not nonprofits?
Well,
they're governmental.
So
it has to be specific. So the bill, as it was presented, kind of left that language out.
So does that mean that that door is closed, or it's closed until somebody sues?
It's open until it's closed.
And what's the date on effectiveness for these properties? You got
Well, it's 2023.
Yeah.
But that's being litigated too.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I mean, there's litigation that wants to go clear back forever. Go ahead. Okay. We could use a private auction company. Just soon we just use the sheriff, but I mean that's for the commissioners to decide. The real estate agent must we have to have a real estate agent advertise the auction on MLS service. So for properties that fail at the initial auction, the county can lower the minimum bid and conduct a second auction, which there's costs to that. And if the properties fail at second auction, then the county can, take a sealed bid or try to give it to a nonprofit or maybe a municipality, depending on what statute you read. So go ahead, Matt. The county treasurer must deposit all sale proceeds into an interest-bearing account until a surplus has been determined. And then once the surplus has been determined within 60 days of the sale, that we need to be cutting the check down to, and with all the information to the state treasury. I think we can skip over some of this stuff. Yeah, allowable costs. That hasn't really changed much. So this is the only good, I shouldn't say good part, but only not so bad part about this is that the Department of the state treasury is handling all the claims. We don't have to deal with that. We just have to notice, give the information, send it down to them. If there is any surplus, give them the money. They deal with any claimants. So we don't have to do that. So go ahead, Matt.
And just to make a note, they're working through that process. I've been on a few conference calls on that. Outside the fact of us having to send it in, it seems like it works. There's still some questions, but it seems like they're kind of on top of being able to do that surplus management for us.
So the applicability here, it states that so any properties that were had a foreclosure judgment and had received their 1-year redemption notice after 5/25, that's what this affects. But like I said, it's being litigated about going back forever. So the list of stuff that I gave you. So and let me back up. House Bill 4082 or whatever the short session bill. It also put a stay on um, deeding any property over until after January 1st of 2026. So this list I gave you is a list of the 2022 and 2023 foreclosures that should have already been deeded over. And so there's a little explanation on there. Right now, my uh, uh, appraisal staff are out looking at the value of all of these properties, and historically, we've never given them a lot of attention once they're in foreclosure. Um, but now, since there's these additional requirements, in having them do a full reappraisal on those, it ought to be roll corrections for this year, but it will be a certified value, more accurate than potentially than what was on there before. There's a number of these, four of these have we call personal property manufactured homes on them. Those personal property homes are not, they have delinquent taxes, but they are not subject to foreclosure. There's a different process called seizure. We'll have to deal with those. We'll have to deal with any occupants that are there. I'm having my staff verify occupants and things. Go ahead, Matt. I think we're about done. Yeah, this presentation was given by one of the Lane County councils and the former Yamhill County Council. They had some suggestions on how to clean up this bill, but I'm not going to go into those. I want to talk about some other issues. We currently have, and I can't remember, I think I sent you the list, Gus, here a while back of the ones that are already deeded over to the county, and there's a few homes, and there's a bunch of sliver pieces that we found and little here and there's.
Bunch of corners all.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, the county has never really had a property manager dealing with these types of things. We have not had a foreclosure auction since I think 2018. It's probably time we do so. Um, I haven't yet came up with a date on when I'm going to deed these over. There's no real statute that says you have to deed it over exactly 2 years after the redemption period or exactly after the stay from House Bill 4082 or whatever. I'm thinking I'm prolonging it, maybe into January, maybe even later, just to try to get some of these steps, and other counties are thinking of this too, put into place and doing it correctly. There's other counties, a lot of other counties are working on policies and procedures for dealing with these new requirements. I'm not going to give a big effort to do that from scratch. I'm going to plagiarize somebody. Yep, that and luckily our county network is very good about sharing stuff like that. Especially there's counties that are very um, uh, involved and proactive about this. So this is a lot of extra work, not just the tax collector, but whoever the quasi property manager is going to be. And I don't know what direction the commission wants to go. I've had some preliminary limited discussions with administration, but not a lot of direction.
What, have you had experience with foreclosed property with people still living in there? Who handles it?
Well, county council or district attorney, will start the eviction process. And there is eviction process for these type of properties. It's easier than, like a landlord tenant eviction process. I'm not saying it's streamlined and it's easy, but it is simpler. Um, that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of stalling on deeding the property over. I want to get all our ducks in the row, and I'm willing to, I guess, be the quasi property manager for now because I don't know anyone else that will. And I would be involved anyway as tax collector. Unless you want to have someone else do it, I guess.
Well, I think that's something that we should decide, but perhaps not right now. Is there a timeline that you would like to have that decision made by?
Yes, I would like to have that decision made before the elected official compensation committee meets.
That's gonna be a county employee or a contracted position?
It could be whoever, and it could be additional duties to the tax collector
Well,
or additional duties to the county
it
administrator.
certainly wouldn't be a new employee, because there's not that much to do.
So,
But, I don't know, I've just had experience, well, like you said, it's different than landlord tenant. I've had, which are terrible.
Oh, for eviction, yes.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. So anyway.
okay. Well, thank you for getting that on the radar, Mike.
Yeah, this is one other thing. I've, in thinking about this and talking with some of the other property managers, which some are, there's there may be more. Clatsop County, Wasco County, I think Jackson County, and maybe one other. Their tax collector is also the property manager.
Okay.
Well,
But now I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, I think it would be in the county's best interest this upcoming budget season if we take and make a line item budget amount, 500,000 or 1 million, and stick in somewhere for just in case litigation comes and we have to give back some money somewhere. Something to think about. I don't know if Kevin's still here, but
Good use of operating.
yeah.
That's the purpose of it.
did you say a timeline? Did that go in my head? You said you had, deal with these, you had.
No,
So when do you want us to name a property manager?
well, we could name one early in January.
To just get it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm already gonna be involved as tax collector on the foreclosure notices and things, which and I believe my staff could take this duty on. So I'm not saying I want to do it, I'm just saying I would.
I just don't, well, left yourself open on that one.
Well,
No, I mean,
well,
yeah.
the way I look at it is if you put it on Matt's shoulders or Vince's shoulders, I'm gonna spend a lot of time with them anyway.
yeah.
So and so why not just take it on?
Just in making the process move
Yep.
forward quicker. Put it on the agenda to name you as the property manager, and I don't know. And then see if the board approves.
And if we want to have more discussion about it, that's fine.
Yeah, well, we could do it at that time, but we'd have a definite decision point.
Yep.
Get it done, then you could take
Look forward.
take ownership back and get the ball rolling.
Well, right, and then along with that, we're going to have to, and it's time we have an auction, and it's time we engage with a realtor and it's time, these things have to happen.
Yeah.
And so, the sooner we get this property manager name, the sooner we can get all that stuff
Yeah, would you do that,
done.
Matt?
Yeah.
Get that on there.
No, definitely.
So,
Right.
any other questions?
I know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, where are we at? Budget, G, right, budget adjustment transfers and appropriations. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It was good morning last
You
time.
look familiar.
Oh,
Okay, so I have a number of budget adjustments that I've prepared and am proposing to the Board of Commissioners today. I want to note there's one additional adjustment that I wasn't able to get prepared in time for this meeting today. But so there'll be an additional adjustment likely coming at the next BOC meeting. Just to, full disclosure, I don't want you to think this is a totality. These take quite a bit of time to put together. I had some time off of the ERP project this week and last week, and was able to take advantage of that. Get them put together. So I've detailed the reasoning, rationale, and impacts, and proposed that these increases in requirements overall are covered with transfers from general operating contingencies and all of the affected operating funds. Did you have a question, Commissioner?
no,
Oh,
sorry.
I thought you gestured.
No.
And I believe for the most part, the board has been informed. I know that we had a work session on the county administered pension plan, and one of the topics I discussed there was the valuation of that plan and how it had come in with a substantially higher contribution rate than what I had initially planned when we were compiling the FY26 budget. That's by far the largest impact here. And it's moving from a contribution rate for covered or participating employees of 55% up to 64% of their wages and salaries. The total net increase on that adjustment, $476,870. That is necessary in order to maintain the funding for the pension plan based on the valuation assumptions that the board adopted several months ago, and based on the actuarial analysis. Also, there's a different tax rate, and this was an oversight on my part when I prepared the budget. The state unemployment tax, it was calculated at a different rate than what it is currently, and that's the second resolution. And then the other two are payroll step increases, and I've got the impacts on each fund and department detailed as attachments to each of those resolutions.
Right. Well, thank you, Kevin. I move to approve and adopt resolutions R-2025-14, R-2025-15, and R-2025-16.
Second.
Then move to second, any further discussion?
That's why I have contingencies, right?
Oh, is that?
That was the
Discussion,
discussion. Sorry.
Let's take a little bit bigger chunk out of contingency that I would like to see.
Gets up, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Okay, next up is our Long County Public Defense Staff Honor the State Award, Stephen.
Hello, gentlemen. Hello. I should say commissioners, my apologies.
Probably,
You shouldn't call us gentlemen. That's-
probably both, maybe is accurate.
Uh-huh.
I'll be brief. It's been a long meeting, right? But I did want to make sure it was on record and acknowledge the hard work and dedication, primarily of our operator, Colleen Dyer, who out of 50 agencies who are part of OTA, won Operator of the Year. That's a pretty significant award considering, TriMet and Lane in Eugene are part of the OTA. There's a lot of operators to pick from. And she was acknowledged and won that award. The Hefner Times Gazette did a great little piece on it, recognizing it, which was great. I was going to read her nomination letter, but I'm sure you guys had an opportunity to read it, and for time's sake, I won't. There was another employee who won another award, but it seems weird to chat about myself. So, with that being said,
I would like to stop right there.
Okay.
And just sing some morals about Stephen. As you may notice during the quarterly reports, bringing Stephen's expertise, experience, and his actually cheerleader attitude. I told Vincent we need a cheerleader for public transit, and Stephen is that. He gets out to the community and takes care of those things. And you've seen the reports, the dynamic increase in ridership, the reallocating of what our routes are to better fit the actual physical needs and transportation for residents. And he's always thinking, not satisfied with just resting on previous laurels, but continuing to build. And so I will point that out with Stephen, and he is well deserved of this recognition by the OTA.
I second that.
I'll just mention that, it is a award to you, but you make the whole county look good when you do this.
Well, that's
And we appreciate it.
that's my job, right? I often say to my staff, right, might make these choices or present them to the BOC, but it's not my transit, right? It's not your transit, it's the community's transit, and that's
It
what
helps us do our job.
that's what we need
Yeah.
to remember.
Yep.
So thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. So, yeah, congratulations on your award. Express the congratulations and thankfulness from the BOC to Colleen.
I will. Thank you.
okay, next up is our Fairgrounds Capital Improvement Grant Modification. Usually none.
That's me. That's my request on this. This is bringing it up to an update on the grants for the fairgrounds. We have the two grants for capital improvements. We had $277,777 through one grant that has an expiration date 2026. We have $1 million that was set up through ARPA funds going transitioned from the state to us, which is a disbursement and doesn't have a termination date, but we want to get spending that as well. The original idea was to use that $277,000 to do the architectural designs and such for the projects that we did. With some of the delays from other projects and also the floodplain information that we're looking at right now, those monies need to be redirected and put to other projects before we lose them. And so we've provided a list of projects that we'd like to do. We did reach out to Business Oregon to get their approval, and we did receive approval saying that these projects are good, that we originally, it's interesting, the grant says for improvements, but they took it from the award letter saying, no, this is a project. And so we went back and forth with them on some discussions saying these can be used for multiple projects. And so this is a list of the projects to make it be aware by the BOC of what we're looking to do. Looks like you had a question or a comment.
Sorry, I don't know what it is.
You're excited, you're energetic. So this is a list of the projects that we're looking at. Just to let you know, there were two projects that we previously discussed, the Sheep Show Ring Shelter and the Arena Wall improvements. Those we've discussed previously. We did not designate which grants those were pulling from. I was thinking of pulling those from the $1 million grant because it's less reporting requirements. But Bonnie Kirkpatrick has confirmed that we can use those under the $277,000 grant. We just have to get the
That
reimbursement.
guy looks like he has some.
That is absolutely not accurate. We specified which grant those funds, those projects would be funded from. I brought that discussion to the board based on information that you provided me and the upcoming expiration of that grant. If we could relate facts, that would be fantastic.
Okay, if the board would like, I can pull up the minutes from the 2 meetings in May that we did this, and it just specified pulling from $1.2 million in grant funds. When Kevin asked me about this yesterday, I did provide him the references to those minutes. I've reviewed those, and it says from the $1.2 million that we have in these grants.
Well, let me interject here.
So
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, okay. Finance has not signed off on this. Legal has not signed off on this. I went back and pulled up the grants and read them. This seems awful. I mean, awful hazy to me. Okay, I don't know what kind of notification you got from Business Oregon. Was it a verbal or what was it?
We have an email. We've
Okay.
had 3 discussions with them, with Bonnie Kirkpatrick, and we have an email confirmation that we've received. We are expecting to receive it later this week. We have received that as confirmation.
Yeah, as I've mentioned before, I don't like signing things that aren't approved. I find that, I mean, this is. And legal, I mean, I think we ought to take a really. I don't feel comfortable with this. And I mean, we've been on this, we got these grants in 22, was it 2.5 years on one, 3.5 on the other? You know, and I realize, you know, we're coming down to a deadline, but you know, why, I mean, I just don't feel comfortable doing things like this.
Well, I would, in order to do that, I would just say we could table this issue for December 17th and bring a full discussion for you.
That's what I'd like to see, and I'd like to see Kevin at the table, and I want to see legal counsel at the table and tell us we're doing okay, because these are grants, these are, you know, and we're the ones that sign.
Of course.
Unless we make you just sign them.
Yeah, I know. Thinking us, and you know,
Well,
I certainly wouldn't think of that.
I will move that we table the Fairgrounds Capital Improvements Grant modification to the December 17th meeting. To have further discussion on the details of how that can be done.
To include well, go ahead.
I'll second.
Move seconded. Any further discussion? My only point in there would be, I would sure like I just mentioned, I want finance and legal at the table when we talk about this. And anyway, okay. Move to second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay. Last item of business, consideration of engaging outside legal counsel. Yeah.
On this one, at the first meeting in November, we discussed engaging an outside legal counsel. We had approval with Innova Legal Services. Attached is an engagement letter for the commission to review. This has been provided to our current legal counsel inside. Just a specific note, we will still be continuing using our district attorney as legal counsel, and that the outside legal counsel will be brought in and coordinated between the county administrator, the DA as our legal counsel, and will be provided projects and in order to make sure we have effective legal counsel throughout county services.
Good.
Well, I'll move to approve the engagement letter with the mobile legal advisors and authorize the board chair to sign the letter.
Second that.
Yes. I didn't lose that. Is that what the motion says? Yes, it's. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next up is correspondence. Matt, do you know any correspondence? Commissioner report. Yeah, Jeff, you got any report?
Nothing significant seen on AOC. There's three ahead their annual meeting. I believe you were there, Dave. I guess of significance, the CDA is moving forward with converting the executive director to a contract position. And then the court has said that they are willing to move forward with being a fiscal agent for any grants and stuff, but since they will no longer have an employee, which is what their big hangup was, is they didn't want to be responsible for payroll. The other significant thing come out of the last CDA meeting is that it appears that Umatilla County has agreed to pay their 20% share of the attorney's fees for the lawsuit that they caused. And it appears that they were supposed to, with that agreement, be contacting to withdraw the lawsuit and withdraw the lis pendens so that property transfers can actually move forward with the CDA. So there is progress has been made there. Until we actually see it, but
I mean, that's an improvement from having reports of nothing.
yes, it is a big improvement.
So thank you for sharing that.
That's it.
Okay, I guess my report would be, AOC, I thought it was pretty good this year. I would, and he probably doesn't want to hear this, but I would encourage our state, AOC rep to maybe start thinking about moving up with chairs. At that organization.
Oh, I appreciate this.
I think you'd be good at it. You're the best of us three.
I intend to be a lot more involved this year. We'll see how that goes. How's that sound?
Okay, see, like I said, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I do think you'd be good and it'd be good for the county, you know. Yeah, so,
yeah,
just kind of threw it out.
yeah, well, appreciate it.
Hope you consider it. Yeah, I guess that's all I have.
Okay. No, I'm ready to break in, so let's go.
Okay. That's it with Commissioner Sports. Next, we're going to go into executive session. Okay. Morgan Board of Commissioners will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192-6602E, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to conduct deliberations. Persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on, otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session or return to open session. Welcome the audience back into the room. Does it say on here whether there may be?
I think there may be, yeah.
Yes, there is.
There may be a potential decision or action results of the executive session. That's one of them. If we had a second. I'll read that now. We'll get those concurrently. We won't come back out and then go back in. Morrow County Board of Commissioners will now meet. We're going to need executive. Also need executive session pursuant to ORS 192-6602. Yeah. Which allows the commission to meet in executive session to consider information and records that are exempt by law from government inspection. All the news media stuff is identical and applies to that. So that
what you read there isn't what's on the agenda. Because on the agenda, it says talk to negotiate property transactions. Instead have been in, I mean, they're kind of sense.
I apologize. I was told the wrong one.
volunteers.
That used to be in Valerie.
Okay, so, second, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll amend that or change ours to the second executive session will be pursuant to ORS 192-6602E, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Okay. Now we will go into executive session.
Okay, and just 1 second.
I'm good to stay.
You are for the first time, yes,
Okay. For the first time or for the first part?
for the first part.
Okay.
And I guess technically the first
Yeah.
time.
Wanted to make sure I heard it right.
Oh,
To make sure that we didn't get in trouble, Dave, it's the right citation.
We don't need a bank filing.
No. He's got one dismiss. No, you're right. Oh. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Clear those up.
Okay,
Okay, call the meeting back to order. And what did we come up with on the?
Oh,
Do you have the motion?
I have, yeah. I move to authorize an employment offer for finance manager position at a salary above the grade 27, step 4, and associated recruiting incentives within current budgetary considerations.
A second.
Moved in second, and further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, any other business to come before the commission today? No. We'll adjourn.
Thank you.